Deep within museum archives around the world lie objects that should not exist. Ancient artifacts so impossible they challenge everything we know about human history. A bronze computer from Greece that predates similar technology by 1,000 years, stone blocks in Bolivia cut with laser-like precision, and medieval manuscripts in languages that have stumped codebreakers for centuries. These are not legends, but real objects that force us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Our ancestors may have possessed knowledge far more advanced than we ever dared imagine. Technological marvels. 1. The Antikythera mechanism. In the cold depths of the Mediterranean Sea, off the Greek island of Antikythera, lay the remnants of an ancient shipwreck that would shatter our understanding of technological history. When Sponge Divers first pulled bronze fragments from the wreckage in 1901, no one could have imagined they had discovered what would become known as the world's first analog computer, a device so sophisticated it wouldn't be matched for another millennium. The Antikythera mechanism, dating to 100 to 50 BCE, defies every assumption about ancient Greek technological capabilities. Within its corroded bronze casing lie 37 precisely crafted gears, each cut with triangular teeth and assembled with tolerances that modern machinists admire. This was no simple astrolabe or sundial. This was a mechanical calculator capable of predicting the positions of the sun, moon, and all 5 known planets with startling accuracy. Recent analysis by University College London revealed the mechanism's true genius. Tony Freeth's team discovered that ancient craftsmen had somehow integrated Babylonian astronomical cycles with Greek mathematical theory, creating gear ratios that modeled the irregular motions of celestial bodies. The largest gear contained exactly 223 teeth, the precise number needed for eclipse predictions based on the Saros cycle. How did Bronze Age artisans achieve such mathematical sophistication? Even more bewildering is the manufacturing precision. The bronze gears were hand-cut with extraordinary accuracy, their spacing and alignment requiring techniques that remain partially unexplained. Modern attempts to recreate the mechanism have largely succeeded, yet questions persist about whether the original could have operated without jamming. Some researchers suggest it may have been a demonstration piece, a mechanical marvel designed to showcase knowledge rather than serve as a practical instrument. The inscriptions covering the device describe its functions in ancient Greek, revealing it could calculate Olympic Games schedules, predict eclipses decades in advance, and track the complex retrograde motion of planets. This level of astronomical sophistication supposedly wouldn't reappear until medieval Islamic astronomy and 14th century European clockwork. What knowledge was lost when this incredible device vanished from history? How many other technological marvels lie buried beneath centuries of sand and sediment? The Antikythera mechanism stands as a bronze testament to human ingenuity, and a haunting reminder of how much ancient wisdom may have slipped through the cracks of time. 2. Baghdad Battery. In 1938, beneath the ancient soil of Iraq, archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig unearthed a discovery that would challenge our understanding of ancient electrical knowledge. Hidden within a simple clay jar from the Parthian period lay what appeared to be impossible: a 2,000-year-old battery that predated Alessandro Volta's invention by nearly 18 centuries. The artifact consists of a terracotta jar containing a copper cylinder, inside which sits an iron rod, all sealed with asphalt. When filled with an acidic solution, wine, vinegar, or citrus juice, this ancient device generates between 0.5 and 2 volts of electricity. Modern experiments have confirmed its electrical properties, yet the question remains, what did ancient Mesopotamians need electricity for? The most tantalizing theory suggests electroplating. Microscopic analysis of ancient Mesopotamian jewelry reveals silver and gold plating so thin and uniform it appears to require electrical processes. Could craftsmen over 2 millennia ago have discovered galvanic reactions to enhance their metalwork? The precision of some surviving pieces certainly suggests techniques beyond simple fire gilding or mechanical attachment. But mainstream archaeology remains skeptical. Similar jars discovered at Silushon Tigris contained papyrus scrolls, leading many experts to conclude these vessels served as storage containers rather than electrical devices. The iron rods, they argue, may have been added later, possibly as scroll handles or preservation mechanisms. The asphalt seal, common in Mesopotamian containers, could simply indicate the jar's intended use for storing valuable documents. Yet anomalies persist. Why would scroll containers require copper cylinders? Why the specific configuration of dissimilar metals that creates electrical potential? Modern recreations have successfully electroplated small objects using the Baghdad battery design, proving the concept's viability even if its original purpose remains unclear. Some researchers propose alternative electrical applications. Perhaps ancient physicians used mild electrical currents for pain relief, following principles later rediscovered in modern electrotherapy. Or could these devices have powered sacred rituals, creating mysterious sparks or tingles that convinced worshippers of divine presence? The Baghdad battery forces us to confront our assumptions about technological development. We imagine electricity as a modern invention, yet here sits evidence that ancient minds may have grasped principles we consider revolutionary. Whether used for practical electroplating, medical treatment, or religious ceremony, these enigmatic jars remind us that human ingenuity has always found ways to harness nature's hidden forces, sometimes centuries before official science catches up. 3. Damascus steel. For over 1,000 years, the mere mention of Damascus steel struck terror into the hearts of European knights. Legends spoke of blades so sharp they could slice through a silk scarf floating in the air, so strong they could cut through European armor without chipping. When crusaders returned from the Holy Land, they brought tales of an impossible metallurgy, steel that seemed to possess magical properties, adorned with flowing patterns that resembled water frozen in metal. The secret died with its makers around 1750 CE, taking with it one of humanity's most remarkable technological achievements. What modern science has discovered about these legendary blades only deepens the mystery of how ancient smiths achieved the impossible without electron microscopes or nanotechnology laboratories. Damascus steel, known in the Islamic world as wood steel, contained carbon nanotubes and cementite nanowires, structures that weren't officially discovered until the 20th century. These microscopic formations gave the steel a tensile strength of 1,070 MPa, surpassing modern steel's 965 MPa. The distinctive watered patterns weren't mere decoration but visible evidence of the steel's internal crystal structure, where bands of different carbon concentrations created both beauty and superior performance. The production process required Wootz ingots from India, smelted with a precise iron-carbon ratio and trace elements including vanadium and molybdenum. But knowledge of ratios alone couldn't recreate Damascus steel. The forging process involved specific temperatures, cooling rates, and hammering techniques that remained closely guarded family secrets passed down through generations of Islamic smiths. Modern attempts at recreation have failed spectacularly. Despite electron microscopy revealing the steel's nanostructure, despite computer modeling of crystal formation, despite access to superior furnaces and temperature controls, no one has successfully reproduced authentic Damascus steel. Researchers can create similar patterns and decent strength, but not the perfect combination of flexibility, hardness, and sharpness that made the original legendary. What knowledge was lost when the last Damascus smiths died? Some researchers suggest the secret lay not just in technique but in the specific composition of ancient Indian iron ore, which may have contained unique trace elements no longer available. Others propose that climate changes affected the forging process, or that the knowledge was deliberately destroyed to prevent its misuse. Today, surviving Damascus blades sell for millions of dollars, museum pieces of a lost art that reminds us how quickly sophisticated knowledge can vanish. The secret of Damascus steel represents more than metallurgical mystery. It's proof that ancient craftsmen sometimes achieved perfection that modern science struggles to understand, let alone duplicate. 4. Delhi Iron Pillar. Standing silent and defiant in the courtyard of Delhi's Qutb Minar, a 1,600-year-old iron pillar has witnessed the rise and fall of empires while maintaining a secret that continues to baffle metallurgists worldwide. For over 16 centuries, through monsoons and scorching heat, political upheavals and foreign invasions, this 7-meter column of wrought iron has remained virtually rust-free, an impossibility that challenges everything we know about iron corrosion. Cast during the reign of Chandragupta II around 400 CE, the Delhi Iron Pillar weighs over 6 tons and bears Sanskrit inscriptions praising King Chandra's victories. But the real mystery lies not in its historical significance, but in its impossible preservation. Iron oxidizes rapidly when exposed to moisture and oxygen, yet this ancient column shows only minimal surface corrosion despite standing exposed to the elements for nearly 2 millennia. Modern analysis reveals the pillar's extraordinary composition: 9,972% pure wrought iron with trace amounts of phosphorus, sulfur, and other elements. The phosphorus content, higher than typical ancient iron, appears crucial to its corrosion resistance. When moisture contacts the surface, a thin protective layer of misohyte and phosphoric compounds forms, creating a barrier that prevents deeper oxidation. This passive film continuously regenerates, essentially making the pillar self-healing. But understanding the chemistry doesn't diminish the technological marvel. How did 5th century Indian metallurgists achieve such purity in wrought iron production? The pillar was forged from approximately 120 individual pieces, welded together with such skill that joints remain invisible. The process required maintaining precise temperatures across the entire mass while hammering hot iron, a feat demanding not just technical knowledge but extraordinary coordination among multiple smiths. Recent research suggests the iron ore came from specific deposits in Tamil Nadu, chosen for its unique mineral composition. The smelting process likely employed sophisticated furnace designs capable of reducing iron oxide while controlling carbon content. Some metallurgists propose that ancient Indian smiths understood principles of atmospheric control, manipulating oxygen levels during forging to optimize the metal's properties. The pillar's inscription credits divine protection for its preservation, and perhaps the ancients weren't entirely wrong. Their mastery of metallurgy created something approaching the miraculous, iron that defies time itself. Modern stainless steel might resist corrosion better, but it requires chromium and nickel, expensive alloys unknown to ancient smiths who achieved similar results through pure technical brilliance. Today, as pollution threatens even this remarkable survivor, the Delhi Iron Pillar stands as a testament to forgotten knowledge, a reminder that sometimes the most advanced technology appears deceptively simple. 5. Roman dodecahedrons. Scattered across northwestern Europe, buried in Roman-era archaeological sites from Britain to the Balkans, lies one of antiquity's most perplexing puzzles. Bronze objects so mysterious that no ancient text ever mentions them, no carved relief depicts them, and no modern scholar can definitively explain their purpose. These are the Roman dodecahedrons, 12-sided geometric artifacts that have mystified archaeologists for over 250 years. Since the first discovery in 1739, more than 130 dodecahedrons have emerged from Roman sites, each one meticulously crafted with 12 pentagonal faces pierced by circular holes of varying sizes. Bronze knobs protrude from each corner, while the holes range from 6 to 40 millimeters in diameter. Some fit comfortably in the palm, others require both hands to lift. Their sizes vary dramatically, from golf ball dimensions to objects weighing over a kilogram. The precision of their construction suggests they weren't casual trinkets. Creating a perfect dodecahedron requires sophisticated geometric knowledge and considerable metalworking skill. The even thickness of bronze walls, the symmetrical placement of holes, and the careful positioning of decorative knobs indicate these objects held significant importance. Yet not one appears in any Roman document, artwork, or literary description. A silence that seems impossible for objects requiring such investment in time and materials. Theories abound, each more intriguing than the last. Some scholars propose they were surveying instruments, used to calculate distances on battlefields or determine optimal sowing dates by measuring angles of sunlight. The varying hole sizes could represent different measurements, while the knobs provided stable positioning on uneven surfaces. Others suggest religious purposes, ritual objects for Gallo-Roman cults, perhaps used in divination ceremonies where sacred objects were cast or viewed through the holes. A particularly compelling theory identifies them as candle holders, with the holes controlling airflow and the knobs preventing rolling. Archaeological evidence supports this. Several dodecahedrons were found with traces of wax residue. But why create such elaborate candlesticks when simple clay lamps sufficed for most Romans? The geographic distribution deepens the mystery. Almost all dodecahedrons come from Rome's northern provinces: Gaul, Britain, Germanic territories, regions where Roman culture blended with Celtic traditions. Were they adaptations of pre-Roman Celtic artifacts, tools for some Northern European practice that Mediterranean Romans never needed? Most unsettling is their complete absence from Roman records. How does an empire famous for documenting everything, from shopping lists to military reports, leave no mention of objects so carefully crafted and widely distributed? The Roman dodecahedrons remain silent witnesses to lost knowledge, their true purpose locked within their geometric perfection. 6. The Lycurgus Cup. In the dimly lit galleries of the British Museum sits a 4th-century Roman drinking cup that performs an impossible magic trick. By day, the Lycurgus cup appears an ordinary jade-green vessel carved with scenes of King Lycurgus entangled in grapevines. But when light passes through the glass, something extraordinary happens. The cup transforms into a glowing ruby chalice, as if liquid fire flows within its walls. For over a century, this dichroic phenomenon baffled scientists. How could ancient Roman glassmakers create an effect that modern optical engineers struggle to replicate? The answer, revealed only through electron microscopy, defies everything we thought we knew about nanotechnology's timeline. Embedded within the cup's glass matrix are gold and silver nanoparticles, each measuring between 50 and 100 nanometers, smaller than most bacteria and invisible to the naked eye. These microscopic metallic spheres manipulate light through surface plasmon resonance, absorbing certain wavelengths while allowing others to pass through. When illuminated from behind, the particles scatter green light while transmitting red, creating the cup's remarkable color-changing properties. But here lies the true mystery. How did 4th-century craftsmen create nanoparticles with such precision? The concentration is perfect. Any higher and the glass would appear black, any lower and the effect disappears. Modern attempts to recreate dichroic glass require sophisticated laboratory conditions, precise temperature controls, and careful monitoring of particle formation. Yet somehow, Roman artisans achieved this nanotechnological feat using furnaces and tools we consider primitive. Recent analysis suggests the glassmakers may have added powdered gold and silver to molten glass, then carefully controlled the cooling process to encourage nanoparticle formation. But understanding the chemistry doesn't explain the knowledge. Did they stumble upon the effect accidentally? Or did ancient glass workshops possess systematic understanding of particle behavior that we've only recently rediscovered? The Lycurgus cup isn't unique. Similar dichroic glasses have been found at other Roman sites, suggesting this wasn't a one-time accident but a deliberately cultivated technique. Yet no Roman text describes the process, no workshop instructions survive, and the knowledge vanished completely from European glassmaking until its rediscovery in the 1950s. Today, dichroic glass finds applications in fiber optics, laser technology, and advanced optical devices. The Romans may have created it purely for beauty, but they unknowingly pioneered principles that drive modern photonics. The Lycurgus cup reminds us that sometimes the most advanced technologies hide behind deceptively simple appearances, and that human ingenuity has always found ways to bend light itself to serve both practical and aesthetic purposes. 7. Sabu Disk. Deep within Mastaba S3111 at Saqqara, archaeologist Walter Bryan Emery made a discovery in 1936 that would perplex Egyptologists for decades. Among the burial goods of Prince Sabu, a nobleman from Egypt's first dynasty around 3100 BCE, lay a peculiar schist disk unlike anything found in ancient Egyptian tombs. Measuring 61 centimeters in diameter, this mysterious wheel features 3 curved lobes that sweep outward from a central hub, creating an aerodynamic shape that seems impossibly advanced for the dawn of Egyptian civilization. The Sabu disk's design challenges conventional understanding of ancient Egyptian capabilities. Carved from a single piece of schist, a metamorphic rock requiring considerable skill to work, the disk displays perfect symmetry and sophisticated curves that suggest knowledge of fluid dynamics. The 3 lobes create a shape resembling a modern propeller or turbine blade, with swept-back edges that would efficiently channel airflow or liquid movement. What purpose could such an object serve in 3100 BCE? Traditional Egyptology offers uncertain explanations. Perhaps a ceremonial wheel, a symbolic representation of the sun, or an incense burner with the lobes channeling aromatic smoke. But these interpretations struggle to explain the disk's remarkably aerodynamic properties, which serve no obvious function in religious or ceremonial contexts. More controversial theories suggest the disk might have been a functional component, possibly part of a larger mechanism we no longer understand. The central hub shows where patterns consistent with rotation, while the aerodynamic lobes would indeed channel airflow efficiently if the disk were spun rapidly. Could ancient Egyptians have experimented with rotary machinery thousands of years before such devices appeared in the historical record? Computer modeling reveals that the Sabu disk's proportions nearly match optimal designs for centrifugal pumps or turbine wheels. The curved lobes create precisely the kind of flow patterns that modern engineers design into propellers and impellers. This resemblance seems too exact for coincidence, yet accepting functional intent implies technological knowledge that contradicts everything we know about First Dynasty capabilities. The disk's materials add another layer of mystery. Schist requires careful selection and skilled working, suggesting the object held significant importance. If merely ceremonial, why invest such effort in creating aerodynamic properties? If functional, where are the complementary mechanical components that would complete the system? Perhaps most intriguingly, the Sabu disk stands alone. No similar objects have been found in other Egyptian tombs, despite thousands of excavations. This uniqueness suggests either extremely specialized knowledge held by Prince Sabu's craftsmen or the survival of a single example from a larger tradition now lost to time. The disk remains a silent witness to possibilities we can barely imagine. 8. Ancient aluminum artifacts. In 1887, French archaeologist Paul Moesta made an impossible discovery in a Roman grave near Cologne, Germany. Among typical bronze and iron artifacts lay a small aluminum buckle, a metal that shouldn't have existed until the 19th century. Aluminum, despite being the third most abundant element in Earth's crust, remained unknown to humanity until 1825 because extracting it from or requires massive electrical power and complex chemical processes that weren't developed until the Industrial Revolution. Yet there it was, a Roman-era aluminum belt buckle, authenticated by multiple laboratories and now housed in the Rheinisches Landesmuseum. The artifact dates to approximately 300 CE, challenging fundamental assumptions about ancient metallurgical capabilities. Aluminum oxide bonds so strongly with other elements that separating pure aluminum demands either the Hall-Héroult electrolytic process or similarly energy-intensive methods supposedly impossible for ancient civilizations. The discovery isn't unique. Several alleged ancient aluminum objects have surfaced over the decades, though most lack proper archaeological context or prove to be modern contamination. However, a few cases resist easy dismissal. In 1974, Romanian archaeologists discovered an aluminum wedge embedded alongside mastodon bones in 20,000-year-old geological layers near Iad. The object showed signs of artificial manufacture and oxidation patterns consistent with great age, though skeptics argue it could have been inserted into the sediment during modern mining operations. Traditional archaeology explains these anomalies through contamination, misidentification, or deliberate fraud. Ancient peoples certainly worked with aluminum-rich materials like alum, aluminum sulfate, which they used for dyeing and medicine. Perhaps some mysterious ancient process concentrated aluminum to near-pure levels without actually extracting the metallic element. Natural aluminum has been found in rare meteoritic samples, possibly accounting for small quantities in ancient contexts. More intriguing possibilities emerge from ancient texts describing unknown metals. Chinese alchemists wrote of substances resembling modern aluminum's properties: lightweight, corrosion-resistant metals that reflected light brilliantly. Islamic metallurgists described similar materials in medieval treatises, though their true composition remains unclear. Could lost techniques have achieved limited aluminum extraction through processes we no longer understand? The implications would be staggering. Aluminum production requires understanding electrical phenomena and complex chemistry that mainstream history places in the modern era. If ancient civilizations possessed such knowledge, entire technological timelines require revision. More likely, these artifacts represent either modern contamination of ancient sites or natural aluminum concentrations through unknown geological processes. Yet questions persist. Why do some alleged aluminum artifacts show oxidation patterns consistent with great age? How do we explain detailed ancient descriptions of lightweight, silvery metals with aluminum's properties? Until definitive explanations emerge, these metallic mysteries remind us that human technological development may follow stranger paths than conventional history suggests. 9. The Aiud Wedge. In 1974, construction workers digging foundations along the Mureș River near Aiud, Romania, unearthed 3 objects that would challenge archaeological understanding for decades. 2 proved to be mastodon bones, perfectly fitting the site's geological age of approximately 20,000 years. The 3rd object defied explanation: a wedge-shaped piece of aluminum alloy found embedded in the same ancient sediment layers, yet composed of a metal that shouldn't have existed until the 19th century. The Aiud wedge measures roughly 20 centimeters long, 125 centimeters wide, and 7 centimeters thick, weighing 285 kilograms. Its surface shows signs of artificial manufacture, deliberate shaping, tool marks, and what appears to be a rectangular hole drilled through one end. Most remarkably, the aluminum shows oxidation patterns consistent with extreme age, developing a thick patina that typically requires centuries of exposure to form. Laboratory analysis revealed the object's composition: 89% aluminum with traces of copper, zinc, lead, and other metals. An alloy combination that suggests sophisticated metallurgical knowledge. Pure aluminum doesn't occur naturally because the element bonds so readily with oxygen and other substances. Extracting metallic aluminum requires the Hall-Héroult electrolytic process, developed in 1886, which demands enormous electrical power and temperatures exceeding 960 degrees Celsius. How could such an object exist in 20,000-year-old geological layers? Skeptics propose several explanations. The wedge might be modern debris that somehow infiltrated the sediment through ground disturbance, animal burrows, or human activity. Construction equipment could have introduced contemporary aluminum into the excavation site, contaminating the ancient bone deposits. The workers might have inadvertently mixed artifacts from different time periods. Yet several factors complicate these explanations. The wedge's oxidation appears genuine and extensive, suggesting prolonged environmental exposure. The geological context seemed undisturbed before excavation, with the aluminum embedded alongside clearly ancient mastodon remains. Most puzzling, the specific alloy composition doesn't match common modern aluminum products, implying either unusual manufacturing or natural processes we don't understand. Alternative theories range from the plausible to the extraordinary. Could the wedge represent a meteoritic fragment, natural aluminum from space that coincidentally shaped itself into tool-like form? Some researchers propose lost ancient technologies capable of aluminum extraction through unknown methods. More speculative interpretations suggest the object originated from advanced prehistoric civilizations or extraterrestrial sources. The Aiud wedge currently resides in the History Museum of Cluj-Napoca, where it continues generating controversy among archaeologists, metallurgists, and mystery enthusiasts. Despite decades of study, no consensus explains how an aluminum alloy artifact came to rest alongside Ice Age fauna. Whether the result of contamination, misinterpretation, or genuinely anomalous circumstances, this metallic enigma represents the ongoing challenge of reconciling unexpected discoveries with established scientific understanding. 10. Precision drill holes in granite. Throughout ancient Egypt's most sacred sites, from the temples of Karnak to the plateau of Giza, archaeologists have discovered evidence of drilling technology so advanced it challenges every assumption about Bronze Age capabilities. These aren't crude holes chipped away with copper chisels, but perfectly cylindrical bores cutting through rose granite with tolerances that modern diamond-tipped drill bits struggle to match. Sir William Matthew Flinders Petrie, the father of Egyptian archaeology, first documented these anomalies in 1883. At the Giza complex, he measured drill holes with such precise concentricity that he declared them the most remarkable pieces of mechanical work from the ancient world. The cores extracted by ancient drillers showed helical striations, spiral ridges that form only when drill bits advance through stone at consistent rates while maintaining steady rotation speeds. Modern analysis reveals the true impossibility of these ancient achievements. Rose granite measures 6 to 7 on the Mohs hardness scale, requiring diamond-tipped tools or industrial carbide bits for efficient drilling. Yet these holes were supposedly created during Egypt's Old Kingdom, when the hardest available tools were copper implements that measure only 35 on the same scale. Copper tools would be worn down to useless stubs before penetrating more than millimeters into granite. The drilling rates evident in the ancient cores exceed what modern technology achieves. Petrie calculated that some drill bits advance through granite at rates of 25 millimeters per revolution, faster than contemporary diamond drilling achieves under optimal conditions. The pressure required for such advancement would crush copper tools instantly, yet the spiral grooves remain perfectly preserved in extracted cores. Even more puzzling are the perfectly concentric holes. Maintaining drill bit alignment while boring through granite requires guide systems and anchoring mechanisms that prevent lateral movement. Modern drilling operations use complex jigs and hydraulic systems to achieve similar precision. How did ancient Egyptians stabilize their equipment while generating the enormous downward pressure necessary for granite penetration? Some researchers propose that ancient Egyptians used sand abrasives with their copper tools, embedding quartz crystals into metal bits to create cutting surfaces. Experimental archaeology has demonstrated that sand-loaded copper can indeed drill granite, but at rates far slower than the ancient evidence suggests. The abrasive process also creates different wear patterns from those observed in Egyptian cores. Recent theories suggest lost techniques involving hardened bronze alloys, ultrasonic drilling methods, or chemical agents that softened granite before mechanical extraction. Others propose that ancient craftsmen possessed knowledge of specialized abrasives, perhaps corundum or even diamond particles, obtained through trade networks we haven't identified. The precision drilling at Egyptian sites represents more than technological mystery. It suggests systematic knowledge of materials science, mechanical engineering, and tool design that contradicts conventional timelines of human technological development. These perfect holes drilled in impossible stone remind us that ancient capabilities may have exceeded our wildest assumptions. Precision engineering mysteries. 11. Puma Punku stone blocks. High on Bolivia's Altiplano, at an altitude where oxygen-starved lungs struggle with every breath, stand the remnants of what may be humanity's most precisely engineered ancient construction. Puma Punku, meaning door of the puma in Quechua, contains megalithic blocks so perfectly cut and fitted that not even a razor blade can slide between their joints. These aren't crude stone walls held together by mortar. They're geometric marvels that challenge everything we know about pre-Columbian technology. The site's H-shaped blocks, some weighing over 130 tons, display precision that would impress modern machinists. Each surface has been ground to optical flatness, with edges so sharp and straight they appear machine-cut. Interior angles measure exactly 90 degrees, while complex interlocking joints fit together with tolerances measured in fractions of millimeters. The blocks show no tool marks, no evidence of the chipping and grinding typically associated with stone working. Carbon dating places Puma Punku's construction between 536 to 600 CE, attributing it to the Tiwanaku civilization. Yet the precision achieved seems impossible for a culture that supposedly lacked metal tools harder than bronze, had no wheeled transport, and possessed no written records of their engineering techniques. The nearest quarry for the red sandstone blocks lies 10 kilometers away. For the andesite blocks, it's 90 kilometers across Lake Titicaca. Andesite presents particular challenges. This volcanic rock measures 6 to 7 on the Mohs hardness scale, harder than steel and nearly as hard as quartz. Shaping andesite with bronze tools would be like trying to carve steel with a butter knife. Yet Puma Punku's andesite blocks show precision cuts, perfectly smooth surfaces, and complex geometric shapes that would challenge modern stone cutting equipment. Recent geopolymer research by Joseph Davidovitz suggests a revolutionary possibility. The blocks might not be carved stone at all, but ancient concrete cast in wooden molds. Chemical analysis reveals organic compounds and mineral compositions inconsistent with natural andesite formation. This would explain the perfect precision. Casting permits tolerances impossible to achieve through mechanical stone cutting. But geopolymer theory raises new questions. Creating artificial stone requires sophisticated chemistry, precisely controlled alkaline solutions, and deep understanding of mineral reactions. How did 6th century builders acquire such knowledge? Where are the chemical traces of large-scale concrete production? Why does the technology appear nowhere else in Tiwanaku architecture? Alternative theories propose loss-cutting techniques using plant acids, sound wave manipulation, or unknown tools incorporating harder materials. Some researchers suggest that Pumapunku represents evidence of advanced prehistoric civilization or technological knowledge far exceeding conventional assumptions about ancient capabilities. Today, scattered across the site like pieces of a colossal puzzle, these impossibly precise blocks continue defying explanation. Each surface remains perfectly flat, each angle precisely cut, each joint fitting with mechanical perfection that makes modern engineers question everything they thought they knew about ancient stone working. 12. Sacsayhuaman Walls. Overlooking the ancient Inca capital of Cusco, the fortress walls of Sacsayhuaman present an engineering mystery that has baffled architects and archaeologists for centuries. These aren't typical stone walls built with uniform blocks and mortar. They're geological impossibilities where massive limestone blocks weighing up to 200 tons fit together with such precision that 500 years of earthquakes, storms, and human interference haven't loosened a single joint. The fortress's zigzag walls stretch for over 600 meters, rising in 3 terraced levels that follow the natural contours of the mountainside. Each stone has been custom cut to fit its neighbors with perfect precision, creating complex interlocking patterns where no 2 blocks share the same shape. The fitting is so exact that the Inca apparently used no mortar whatsoever. The walls are held together purely by the weight and precision of their construction. What makes Sacsayhuaman truly impossible is the 3-dimensional complexity of these joints. Unlike simple rectangular blocks, each stone has been carved to fit its neighbors not just horizontally and vertically, but in complex angles that interlock in multiple directions. Some blocks have as many as 12 distinct faces, each one precisely angled to mate with adjacent stones. Creating such complex geometries requires extraordinary spatial visualization and mathematical precision. The construction logistics defy conventional explanation. The largest stones weigh as much as 200 tons, equivalent to about 130 automobiles. Moving such masses across mountainous terrain without wheeled vehicles, steel tools, or large domesticated animals seems impossible. Yet somehow, these megalithic blocks were transported from quarries kilometers away, raised to their positions dozens of meters above ground level, and fitted with precision that modern cranes and laser-guided equipment would struggle to match. Spanish chroniclers who witnessed the fortress shortly after conquest described walls still intact with stones so perfectly fitted that a knife blade could not be inserted between them. Modern analysis confirms their accounts. The joints remain virtually airtight after 5 centuries. How did Inca engineers achieve tolerances measured in fractions of millimeters when working with stones heavier than modern construction equipment can easily handle? Traditional explanations suggest the Inca used bronze tools, wooden rollers, earthen ramps, and patient trial-and-error fitting. Experimental archaeologists have demonstrated that such methods can indeed work, but at timescales suggesting centuries for each major wall section. Could the Inca have invested such enormous resources in a single construction project? Recent theories propose lost techniques involving plant-based acids to soften stone, sophisticated pulley systems that multiplied human effort, or mysterious technologies that we no longer understand. Whatever methods they employed, the builders of Sacsayhuaman achieved engineering perfection that continues to mystify modern science while standing as testament to human ingenuity. 13. Baalbek Trilithon. In the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon, where ancient gods once walked among mortals and empires rose and fell like desert storms, stands humanity's most audacious architectural achievement. The Baalbek complex, known to Romans as Heliopolis, houses the Temple of Jupiter, and within its foundations lie 3 limestone blocks so massive, so impossibly heavy, that they challenge every assumption about ancient construction capabilities. The trilithon consists of 3 colossal stones, each measuring approximately 19 meters long, 4 meters high, and 3 meters thick. These megalithic giants weigh between 750 and 800 tons each, equivalent to the weight of about 500 automobiles stacked together. Yet somehow, ancient builders lifted these behemoths and placed them precisely in the temple's western wall. where they rest 6 meters above ground level, supporting the structure above with perfect stability. What makes the trilithon truly bewildering is that these stones far exceed the lifting capabilities of any known ancient technology. Roman engineers, masters of construction who built the Colosseum and Pantheon, possessed cranes capable of lifting perhaps 100 tons at maximum capacity. The trilithon blocks are 8 times heavier. Modern construction cranes struggle with loads exceeding 1,000 tons, and moving such masses requires specialized equipment that didn't exist until the 20th century. Near the temple, the ancient quarry reveals even more staggering evidence of impossible ambition. Here lies the stone of the pregnant woman, a partially extracted block weighing approximately 1,000 tons. Nearby rests an even larger stone weighing 1,242 tons, and most remarkably, in 2014 archaeologists uncovered what may be the largest worked stone block in human history, a 1,650-ton megalith that was never fully extracted from the bedrock. How did ancient builders plan to move these colossal stones? Roman historians left no records describing the construction techniques, despite documenting countless other engineering projects in meticulous detail. Local legends speak of giants who could lift massive stones effortlessly, but such tales provide no practical explanation for the engineering reality. Recent engineering studies suggest the stones could theoretically have been moved using massive wooden rollers, earthen ramps, and coordinated teams of thousands of workers. Computer models indicate that such methods might work, but would require unprecedented organization, resources, and time investments that seem unlikely for any ancient civilization. Alternative theories propose lost technologies, anti-gravity devices, sonic levitation, or engineering knowledge that vanished from human memory. While such explanations venture into speculation, the physical evidence remains undeniable. Somehow, ancient builders achieved what modern technology considers extremely challenging. The trilithon stones continue supporting the Temple of Jupiter after nearly 2 millennia, their presence a silent testament to human ambition that transcended apparent limitations and achieved the seemingly impossible through means we may never fully understand. 14. The unfinished obelisk. In the granite quarries of Aswan, where the ancient Egyptians carved monuments that would outlast empires, lies evidence of humanity's most ambitious stone-cutting project and its most mysterious failure. The unfinished obelisk, commissioned during the reign of Queen Hatshepsut around 1500 BCE, would have stood 42 meters tall and weighed approximately 1,200 tons, making it the largest single piece of stone ever shaped by human hands. 3 sides of this colossal monolith were nearly completed when disaster struck. A fatal crack appeared in the granite, forcing the ancient craftsmen to abandon their masterpiece forever. But what they left behind reveals secrets of Egyptian stoneworking that continue to baffle modern engineers and challenge everything we think we know about Bronze Age technology. The precision of the cutting defies explanation. Using only copper tools, wooden wedges, and dolerite pounders, the hardest implements available to Bronze Age Egyptians, workers somehow carved through solid granite with tolerances measured in millimeters. The obelisk surfaces show smooth, precise cuts that extend deep into the bedrock, following exact geometric lines across dozens of meters of incredibly hard stone. Modern attempts to replicate ancient Egyptian cutting techniques have met with limited success. Experimental archaeologists using period-appropriate tools can indeed cut granite, but at rates so slow that completing the unfinished obelisk would require centuries of continuous work by hundreds of craftsmen. The logistics alone seem impossible, maintaining perfect precision across such vast surfaces while coordinating the efforts of multiple teams working simultaneously. The cutting patterns reveal systematic knowledge of granite's internal structure. Ancient workers understood how to follow the stone's natural grain, where to place separation cuts, and how to remove massive amounts of material without destabilizing the remaining structure. This suggests sophisticated geological knowledge that wouldn't be formally developed until modern times. Most mysteriously, the abandoned obelisk shows clear evidence of a planned extraction process. Channels cut around the monument's perimeter indicate the workers knew exactly how to separate the finished obelisk from the bedrock, a process requiring precise understanding of structural engineering and stone mechanics. How did Bronze Age craftsmen develop such advanced techniques? The crack that doomed the project provides its own mysteries. Some researchers suggest it resulted from natural flaws in the granite, while others propose it was caused by the extraction process itself. More intriguingly, some theories suggest the crack was deliberately created to hide evidence of advanced cutting techniques that ancient Egyptians wanted to keep secret. Today, the unfinished obelisk remains locked in stone, its surfaces bearing witness to capabilities that seem impossible for its time. Every precisely cut line, every smooth surface, every evidence of systematic planning challenges our assumptions about ancient technological limitations and reminds us that human achievement has always exceeded our expectations. 15. Coral Castle. In the Florida Everglades, where mysterious forces seem to bend the laws of physics, stands a monument to impossible engineering that bridges ancient mysteries with modern puzzles. Between 1923 and 1951, a 100-pound Latvian immigrant named Edward Leedskalnin single-handedly carved, moved, and assembled over 1,100 tons of coral rock into an intricate castle complex, achieving feats of megalithic construction that seem impossible for one man working alone with primitive tools. Leedskalnin claimed he had discovered the secrets of pyramid building, the same lost knowledge that enabled ancient Egyptians to move massive stone blocks. He worked only at night, away from prying eyes, using chains, pulleys, and mysterious techniques that he never revealed to anyone. Neighbors reported seeing multi-ton blocks moving through the air as if they weighed nothing, swaying gently from wooden tripods that shouldn't have been able to support such massive loads. The precision of Coral Castle rivals ancient megalithic sites. A 9-ton gate turns so perfectly on its pivot point that a child can push it open with one finger, despite being balanced on a metal bearing that Leedskalnin crafted himself. The castle's walls consist of blocks fitted together with tolerances so precise that no mortar was needed, techniques reminiscent of Sacsayhuaman or Pumapunku, achieved by a single man in the 20th century. Individual accomplishments boggle the mind. Leedskalnin quarried, shaped, and installed a 30-ton block for his castle's main wall. He created a 22-ton obelisk, carved crescent moons that rotate perfectly on their axes, and built rocking chairs from solid coral that weigh several tons each yet balance so precisely they move at the lightest touch. The castle's centerpiece, a massive coral table carved from a single block, weighs over 5 tons. How did a tubercular man weighing barely 100 pounds accomplish such engineering marvels? Leedskalnin possessed only basic tools, hand saws, chisels, chains, and pulleys. He had no formal engineering education, no mechanical equipment, and no helpers. When asked about his methods, he cryptically referred to understanding magnetic current, claiming he knew how ancient builders worked with gravity rather than against it. Theories about Leedskalnin's techniques range from the practical to the fantastic. Some propose he used ingenious mechanical advantage systems, complex pulley arrangements that multiplied his limited strength. Others suggest he discovered genuine anti-gravity principles, pointing to his extensive experiments with electromagnetic fields and his obsession with the relationship between magnetism and gravity. Leedskalnin left behind cryptic writings about magnetic forces and cosmic energy, filled with unconventional theories about physics that mainstream science dismisses. Yet his castle stands as undeniable proof that somehow, using methods known only to himself, he achieved what should have been impossible. Engineers who study Coral Castle admit they cannot fully explain how Leedskalnin accomplished his megalithic construction. The castle remains a testament to human ingenuity, or evidence that individual genius can rediscover lost principles that once enabled ancient civilizations to build their own impossible monuments. 16. The Mystery of the Longyu Caves. Hidden beneath the rice paddies of Zhejiang Province, China, lies one of archaeology's most precisely engineered mysteries. In 1992, local farmers began pumping water from ponds that had existed in their fields for generations, expecting to find nothing more than muddy bottoms. Instead, they uncovered the entrance to a vast underground world, a complex of hand-carved caverns so perfectly executed they seemed designed by master architects using modern precision instruments. The Longyu Caves comprise over 24 interconnected chambers, each one meticulously carved from solid siltstone. The largest cavern soars 30 meters high and spans several thousand square meters, supported by precisely positioned stone pillars that have maintained perfect structural integrity for over 2,000 years. Every surface, walls, ceilings, and floors bears parallel ridges carved in consistent patterns, creating a wave-like texture that appears machine-generated rather than hand-carved. What makes these caves truly impossible is their engineering perfection. The chambers are arranged in careful geometric patterns, with connecting passages positioned at exact angles and elevations. Water drainage systems carved into the floors still function perfectly, channeling moisture away from the chambers through underground channels that required sophisticated understanding of hydraulic engineering. Most remarkably, the caves maintain constant temperature and humidity levels year-round, suggesting deliberate climate control systems built into their design. The excavation would have required removing over 1 million cubic meters of stone, enough material to build several pyramids. Yet no evidence exists of such massive stone removal. Where did all the quarried rock go? How did ancient workers dispose of such enormous quantities of material without leaving traces in the archaeological record? The precision cutting suggests systematic planning and coordinated teams working with advanced tools. Yet no metal implements or mechanical devices have been found. Archaeological evidence dates the caves to the Qin dynasty, 220 to 210 BCE. Yet no historical records mention such a massive construction project. Chinese chroniclers documented countless smaller projects during this period, making the cave's absence from historical texts deeply puzzling. How could such an enormous undertaking, requiring thousands of workers and decades of labor, vanish completely from written records? The cave's purpose remains equally mysterious. Despite extensive excavation, archaeologists have found no evidence of habitation, no cooking areas, sleeping quarters, storage facilities, or refuse deposits. The chambers appear designed for specific functions we can no longer identify, with features like precisely carved niches, geometric floor patterns, and acoustic properties that enhance sound transmission. Modern engineers studying the caves admit they would struggle to achieve similar precision using contemporary equipment. The consistent ridge patterns, perfect structural calculations, and sophisticated drainage systems suggest knowledge of mathematics, geology, and engineering that exceeds expectations for 2,000-year-old Chinese technology. The Longyu Caves stand as monuments to forgotten capabilities that challenge our understanding of ancient Chinese civilization. 17. Yonaguni Monument. 25 meters beneath the crystal waters off Japan's Yonaguni Island, where ancient legends speak of underwater kingdoms and lost civilizations, lies a discovery that challenges everything we know about prehistoric human capabilities. The Yonaguni Monument rises from the ocean floor like a drowned city, its massive stone terraces, perfectly straight walls, and precise geometric angles suggesting architectural mastery that shouldn't have existed when this area was last above sea level. Discovered in 1987 by dive tour operator Kihachiro Aratake, the monument spans over 150 meters in length and rises 25 meters from the seafloor. Its most striking features include massive step terraces that ascend like a pyramid, straight walls intersecting at precise 90-degree angles, and carved channels that appear deliberately engineered rather than naturally formed. The main structure resembles a colossal stepped pyramid with platforms, staircases, and what appear to be ceremonial areas. The geological timeline creates an impossible puzzle. For the monument to be man-made, it must have been constructed when the area was above sea level, which last occurred approximately 12,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age. This dating would make Yonaguni one of humanity's oldest architectural achievements, predating Göbekli Tepe by thousands of years and challenging conventional understanding of prehistoric civilization development. Marine geologist Masaaki Kimura, who has studied the site for decades, argues that the monument's features prove artificial construction. He points to carved symbols, precisely angled cuts, and structural elements that don't occur in natural rock formations. Tool marks on stone surfaces suggest human modification, while the monument's orientation aligns with astronomical features in ways that seem deliberately planned rather than coincidental. However, skeptical scientists led by geologist Robert Schoch contend that the monument represents natural sandstone formation sculpted by underwater currents and tectonic activity. They argue that the regular layers of Yonaguni's sedimentary rock naturally fracture along straight lines, creating geometric patterns that mimic artificial construction. Ocean currents could have carved the channels and platforms over millennia of erosion. The debate intensifies when examining specific features that seem impossible to explain naturally. Narrow channels with uniform widths, perfectly flat platforms, and right-angle intersections challenge purely geological explanations. Some areas show what appear to be post and lintel construction, drainage systems, and even carved symbols resembling ancient Japanese characters. Recent underwater archaeology has revealed additional structures in the region, suggesting Yonaguni may be part of a larger complex of submerged sites. If artificial, these monuments would represent evidence of sophisticated maritime civilization capable of megalithic construction long before agriculture was thought to have enabled complex societies. Whether natural formation shaped by imagination or genuine prehistoric architecture drowned by rising seas, the Yonaguni Monument stands as one of underwater archaeology's most compelling mysteries, challenging us to reconsider the capabilities and timeline of ancient human achievement. 10. Göcek Circle. Hidden beneath German farmland for nearly 7,000 years, the Göcek Circle lay forgotten until aerial photography in 1991 revealed strange crop marks that would rewrite the history of prehistoric astronomy. When archaeologists finally excavated the site in 2002, they uncovered Europe's oldest known solar observatory, a Neolithic masterpiece that demonstrates mathematical precision and astronomical knowledge far exceeding what we thought possible for Stone Age societies. Built around 4,900 BCE, the Göcek Circle predates Stonehenge by over 2,000 years, making it one of humanity's earliest attempts to capture cosmic order in earthbound architecture. The circular enclosure consists of concentric rings of wooden posts and earthwork ditches, with 3 strategically positioned gates that function as precision instruments for tracking solar movements throughout the year. The circle's genius lies in its perfect astronomical alignment. The southern gates align precisely with sunrise and sunset during winter solstice, creating a natural calendar that marked the year's shortest day with startling accuracy. Standing at the circle's center during winter solstice, observers could watch the sun rise through the southeastern gate, travel along the southern horizon, and set through the southwestern gate, a cosmic drama that transformed the landscape into a giant sundial. But the Göcek Circle's precision suggests knowledge that challenges conventional understanding of Neolithic capabilities. Creating accurate solar alignments requires long-term astronomical observations, mathematical calculations, and surveying techniques that archaeologists didn't think existed 7,000 years ago. The builders had to understand solar declination, seasonal variations in daylight, and complex geometric relationships between celestial movements and earthbound markers. The construction itself reveals sophisticated planning. The circle's 75-meter diameter was carefully calculated to provide optimal viewing angles, while the post positions were surveyed with precision that suggests systematic measurement techniques. Radiocarbon dating confirms that the entire complex was built during a relatively short period, indicating coordinated effort by communities that possessed both advanced astronomical knowledge and organizational capabilities. Evidence from the site suggests the circle served multiple functions beyond astronomical observation. Archaeological remains indicate ritual activities, possibly including human sacrifice, that may have been timed to coincide with celestial events. The combination of practical astronomy with religious ceremony hints at belief systems that integrated cosmic order with earthly activities. The discovery of Göcek has revealed a network of similar circular enclosures across Central Europe, suggesting widespread astronomical knowledge among Neolithic communities. These roundels indicate that sophisticated skywatching wasn't isolated to individual genius but represented systematic cultural achievement spanning generations and geographic regions. The Göcek Circle forces us to reconsider the intellectual capabilities of our Stone Age ancestors. Far from primitive hunter-gatherers struggling for survival, these communities possessed mathematical sophistication, astronomical knowledge, and engineering skills that enabled them to build precision instruments for understanding their place in the cosmos. Achievements that remind us human curiosity about the heavens reaches back far deeper than we ever imagined. 19. The Oracle's Chamber at Chavin. Deep within the ancient temple complex of Chavin de Huantar, Nestled high in Peru's Cordillera Blanca, lies an acoustic marvel that transformed human voices into divine pronouncements through principles of sound engineering that wouldn't be formally understood for another 2,500 years. The Oracle's Chamber, constructed around 900 BCE by the mysterious Chavan civilization, represents one of humanity's earliest and most sophisticated attempts to manipulate sound for psychological and religious purposes. The chamber itself appears deceptively simple, a small stone room connected to the temple's galleries through a network of carefully designed passages. But when researchers first tested its acoustic properties in the 1970s, they discovered something extraordinary. Voices spoken in normal tones within the chamber emerged in the temple's main plaza, dramatically amplified, distorted, and seemingly emanating from the massive carved deity known as the Lanzan that dominates the underground space. The acoustic engineering reveals staggering sophistication. The chamber's dimensions, wall angles, and ceiling height were precisely calculated to create resonance frequencies that amplify human voices while filtering out specific wavelengths. Stone channels carved into the walls function as acoustic guides, directing sound waves through the temple's labyrinthine passages in ways that create echo effects, reverberations, and apparent multiple voice sources that would have seemed supernatural to ancient worshippers. Recent analysis using digital acoustic modeling has revealed the true genius of Chavan's architects. The temple's underground galleries form an integrated sound system where multiple chambers work together to create complex acoustic phenomena. Sounds generated in one location emerge unexpectedly from others, creating auditory illusions that would have convinced visitors they were hearing voices from the spirit world. The psychological impact would have been overwhelming. Pilgrims entering the temple's dark, maze-like galleries would suddenly hear disembodied voices, echoing chants, and mysterious sounds that seemed to come from the carved stone deities themselves, combined with hallucinogenic substances known to have been used in Chavan ceremonies. These acoustic effects would have created profound religious experiences that convinced participants of direct divine communication. What makes Chavan's acoustic engineering truly remarkable is that it required understanding of sound physics that European science wouldn't develop until the Renaissance. The builders grasped concepts of resonance, wave propagation, and acoustic reflection that enabled them to design chambers functioning as sophisticated sound processors. They understood how stone density, surface texture, and geometric angles affect sound transmission. The Oracle's Chamber represents more than architectural achievement. It demonstrates that ancient Peruvian civilization possessed systematic knowledge of psychoacoustics and deliberately engineered religious experiences using scientific principles. The fact that this technology was developed specifically for spiritual purposes suggests that ancient builders sometimes achieved their greatest technical innovations in service of connecting human consciousness with divine mysteries that transcended the physical world. 20. Giants Causeway-like structures. Along coastlines worldwide, from Ireland's Giant's Causeway to the Devil's Postpile in California, nature has created one of geology's most perfect mysteries. Vast formations of hexagonal stone columns so geometrically precise they appear artificially constructed. These basaltic masterpieces, formed through volcanic processes that create mathematical perfection rivaling the finest human engineering, challenge our understanding of how natural forces can achieve architectural precision that seems almost impossibly deliberate. The Giant's Causeway itself consists of approximately 40,000 interlocking basalt columns, most forming perfect hexagons that fit together like nature's own stone puzzle. The columns range from tiny formations to massive pillars over 12 meters tall, each one displaying geometric regularity that would challenge modern stonemasons to replicate. The perfection is so striking that ancient Celtic legends insisted they were built by giants constructing a bridge to Scotland, a more believable explanation than accepting that random geological processes could achieve such architectural precision. The formation process reveals nature's hidden mathematical principles. When basaltic lava cools slowly and uniformly, it contracts in patterns that naturally minimize surface tension, creating hexagonal joint systems that are mathematically optimal for space filling. The cooling creates perpendicular fractures that form columns, while horizontal fractures create the characteristic ball and socket joints visible in many formations. The result resembles massive stone organ pipes crafted by cosmic forces operating according to geometric laws. What makes these formations truly remarkable is their global distribution and consistent geometric properties. Similar hexagonal columns appear at Devil's Tower in Wyoming, the Giant's Castle in South Africa, the island of Staffa in Scotland, and dozens of other locations worldwide. Despite forming through independent volcanic events separated by continents and millions of years, these structures display nearly identical geometric characteristics, suggesting that fundamental physical laws create predictable patterns regardless of location or timing. Recent research has revealed that these natural formations sometimes achieve precision exceeding human engineering capabilities. Computer analysis of Giant's Causeway columns shows geometric regularity that would be difficult to reproduce artificially, with hexagonal cross-sections displaying variations of less than 1 degree from perfect angles. The column surfaces are often smoother than machine-polished stone, while the interlocking joints fit so precisely that water cannot penetrate between them. Some researchers have discovered anomalous features that challenge purely natural explanations. Certain formations show tool marks, deliberate modifications, or geometric arrangements that seem to exceed what random cooling patterns should produce. While mainstream geology explains these as coincidental natural variations, alternative researchers propose that ancient civilizations may have modified existing formations or even learned to artificially create similar structures. The mathematical perfection of basaltic columns has inspired human architecture for millennia. From ancient Greek temples that incorporated hexagonal design principles to modern buildings that mimic columnar basalt aesthetics, these natural formations demonstrate that nature itself is humanity's greatest architect, creating mathematical beauty and structural efficiency that continues to inspire and challenge our understanding of how order emerges from chaos. Undeciphered scripts and manuscripts. 21. The Voynich Manuscript. In the hushed archive of Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book Library rests humanity's most enigmatic literary mystery, a 240-page medieval manuscript that has defeated every attempt at decipherment for over 6 centuries. The Voynich Manuscript, written in an unknown script using an unidentified language, stands as the ultimate challenge to human cryptographic skills, resisting the efforts of Nazi codebreakers, NSA cryptographers, and modern artificial intelligence systems with equal disdain. Carbon dating places this vellum codex between 1404 to 1438 CE, confirming its medieval origins while ruling out modern forgery theories. The manuscript contains over 35,000 words written in flowing script using approximately 25 to 30 unique characters arranged in patterns that follow natural language statistical distributions. Computer analysis confirms it exhibits properties of meaningful text. Word frequency patterns follow Zipf's law. Characters combine in ways consistent with linguistic structure, and sections show thematic organization suggesting genuine content rather than random gibberish. The manuscript's illustrations deepen the mystery while providing tantalizing clues. The botanical section depicts 113 unidentified plant species that don't match any known flora, drawn with scientific precision yet featuring impossible biological characteristics. Roots that spiral impossibly, flowers with geometric perfection, and leaves arranged in patterns that violate natural growth principles. The astronomical section shows zodiac symbols mixed with unrecognizable celestial charts, while the biological section contains hundreds of drawings of nude women bathing in pools connected by elaborate tube systems. Recent multispectral imaging has revealed hidden layers of text, suggesting that medieval readers may have attempted decipherment using techniques we can no longer identify. Lisa Fagan Davis's 2024 analysis identified 5 different scribes working on the manuscript, complicating theories about single-author creation while raising questions about whether multiple people understood the mysterious language or were merely copying incomprehensible text. The manuscript's resistance to decryption stems from fundamental challenges that stymie even modern computational analysis. The limited corpus size prevents statistical breakthrough methods that succeeded with other ancient scripts. The unknown language family offers no comparative framework for translation attempts. Most frustratingly, if the text employs sophisticated encryption methods, possibly multiple cipher systems layered together, it might be genuinely unbreakable without additional contextual information. Theories about the manuscript's content range from the academic to the fantastic. Some scholars propose it represents a lost dialect, an artificial language created for alchemical or magical purposes, or encrypted medical knowledge deemed too dangerous for open publication. Others suggest it might be an elaborate hoax created to fool medieval scholars, though the effort required would exceed any reasonable motivation for deception. The Voynich manuscript continues attracting researchers worldwide, promising fame to anyone who achieves the breakthrough translation. Yet after 6 centuries of failure, this mysterious codex guards its secrets with medieval determination, reminding us that some human knowledge remains forever beyond our grasp. 22. Linear A script. On the sun-baked island of Crete, where ancient Minoan civilization once commanded the Mediterranean through maritime trade and sophisticated culture, archaeologists have uncovered thousands of clay tablets bearing a script that represents one of Europe's most enduring linguistic mysteries. Linear A, used by the Minoans between 1850 to 1450 BCE, remains completely undeciphered despite sharing many symbols with its successor, Linear B, which scholars successfully translated decades ago. The frustrating irony of Linear A lies in its relationship to Linear B, the administrative script used by later Mycenaean Greeks who conquered Crete around 1450 BCE. When Michael Ventris deciphered Linear B in 1952, revealing it recorded an early form of Greek, scholars anticipated that Linear A would quickly follow. After all, approximately 70% of Linear A symbols appear in Linear B, suggesting direct evolutionary development between the scripts. Yet this apparent similarity has proven to be a curse rather than a blessing. While we can recognize many Linear A symbols from their Linear B counterparts, the underlying language remains completely unknown. The Minoan tongue appears unrelated to any known language family, leaving scholars without the comparative linguistic framework that made Linear B decipherment possible. Every attempt to apply Greek phonetic values to Linear A text produces meaningless combinations that resist interpretation. The corpus of Linear A inscriptions provides tantalizing glimpses into Minoan civilization while withholding their deeper secrets. Over 1,500 inscriptions have been discovered, mostly administrative records from palace complexes at Knossos, Phaistos, and other sites. These tablets appear to record economic transactions, religious offerings, and bureaucratic activities that sustained Bronze Age Crete's sophisticated society, yet their specific contents remain forever locked behind linguistic barriers. What makes Linear A particularly maddening is the evidence it provides for Minoan cultural sophistication. The script appears on ceremonial objects, religious artifacts, and even personal seals, suggesting widespread literacy and complex administrative systems. The variety of inscription contexts implies that Linear A recorded not just mundane accounting but religious texts, historical records, and possibly literary works that could revolutionize our understanding of Bronze Age European civilization. Recent computational approaches have applied artificial intelligence and statistical analysis to Linear A texts, searching for patterns that might reveal linguistic structure or meaning. These efforts have identified possible word boundaries, recurring phrases, and structural elements that suggest systematic grammar, but breakthrough translation remains elusive. The mystery deepens when considering that Linear A represents Europe's earliest known writing system for recording a European language. Its decipherment could provide unprecedented insights into pre-Indo-European culture, revealing how Mediterranean civilizations developed complex societies before Greek influence transformed the region. Until that breakthrough occurs, Linear A remains a silent witness to lost knowledge, reminding us that some secrets of human civilization may be forever beyond our reach, locked in scripts we can see but never read. 23. The Phaistos Disc. In 1908, Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier discovered what may be the world's oldest example of movable type printing, buried in the ruins of the Minoan Palace at Phaistos on Crete. The Phaistos Disc, a fired clay tablet measuring just 15 centimeters in diameter, bears 45 unique symbols arranged in a spiral pattern that winds from the rim toward the center, creating humanity's most compact and enigmatic ancient text. What makes the disc truly revolutionary for its time is the evidence of stamp printing technology. Each symbol was impressed into the soft clay using individual seals before firing, creating uniform characters that demonstrate mass production principles not thought to exist until Gutenberg's printing press 3,000 years later. The precision and consistency of the symbols suggest sophisticated manufacturing techniques that challenge our understanding of Bronze Age technological capabilities. The disk's 241 symbols are arranged in groups separated by vertical lines, forming what appear to be words or phrases spiraling inward on both sides. The symbols themselves depict a fascinating array of objects. Human figures in various poses, animals including fish and birds, tools and weapons, geometric shapes, and architectural elements. Each symbol was clearly designed for repeated use, implying a systematic writing system rather than one-time artistic expression. Yet, despite intensive study spanning over a century, the Phaistos disk remains completely undeciphered. The limited text sample, just 241 symbols total, provides insufficient data for statistical analysis techniques that have succeeded with other ancient scripts. Without additional examples of the same writing system, scholars lack the comparative material necessary for breakthrough decipherment. The disk's uniqueness raises profound questions about Minoan literacy and technology. Why does no other example of this printing system exist? If the Minoans possessed stamp printing technology, why didn't it spread throughout their civilization or survive into later periods? The sophisticated symbol design and manufacturing precision suggest systematic development rather than experimental innovation, yet the disk stands completely alone in the archaeological record. Recent attempts at decipherment have proposed interpretations ranging from religious hymns to administrative records to calendrical systems. In 2024, linguist Gareth Owens claimed 99% decipherment, interpreting the disk as a prayer to the Minoan mother goddess, but scholarly consensus remains skeptical due to the limited corpus and absence of verification methods. The technological implications may be as significant as the linguistic mystery. If the Phaistos disk truly represents movable type printing from 1700 BCE, it suggests that human innovation follows more complex patterns than linear technological progression implies. Perhaps advanced techniques develop in isolated circumstances, only to be lost when civilizations collapse or knowledge transmission fails. The Phaistos disk continues challenging our assumptions about ancient technological capabilities while guarding its linguistic secrets with Bronze Age determination, representing both humanity's earliest printing achievement and its most compact unsolved mystery. 24. Rongorongo script. On the most isolated inhabited island on Earth, where colossal stone statues gaze eternally across the Pacific Ocean, the people of Rapa Nui developed one of humanity's most mysterious writing systems. Rongorongo, carved into wooden tablets and discovered on Easter Island, represents the only known indigenous script from Polynesia, a complex hieroglyphic system that may hold the key to understanding how isolated civilizations develop literacy independently. The script consists of intricate glyphs depicting humans, animals, plants, and geometric shapes arranged in neat horizontal lines that follow a unique reading pattern called reverse boustrophedon. Alternating lines read left to right and right to left, with alternate lines inverted upside down. This sophisticated textual organization suggests systematic development rather than crude picture writing, implying that Rapa Nui society possessed advanced literacy concepts despite their geographic isolation. What makes Rongorongo particularly tragic is its timing of discovery. When European missionaries first encountered the tablets in the 1860s, island culture was already in collapse due to slave raids, disease, and cultural disruption. The last native who could read Rongorongo died before linguists could record the script's interpretation, leaving behind tantalizing wooden artifacts whose secrets died with their final interpreter. Only 26 Rongorongo tablets survive today, scattered across museums worldwide. Each tablet contains hundreds of meticulously carved glyphs that demonstrate remarkable artistic sophistication and systematic organization. The carving quality varies dramatically between tablets, suggesting different scribal skill levels or possibly different functions. Some tablets may have been training materials, while others recorded important cultural information. Decipherment attempts have identified approximately 600 distinct glyphs, though scholars debate whether some represent variant forms of the same symbol or completely different characters. The limited corpus makes statistical analysis extremely difficult, while the absence of bilingual texts or contemporary translation aids eliminates traditional decipherment approaches that succeeded with Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform. Recent computational analysis has identified recurring patterns and possible word boundaries that suggest meaningful linguistic content rather than random decoration. Some researchers have proposed connections between specific glyphs and known Polynesian words, while others argue for purely ideographic interpretation where symbols represent concepts rather than sounds. The cultural implications remain staggering. If Rongorongo represents genuine independent writing development, Easter Island would join the extremely short list of civilizations that invented literacy without external influence. A remarkable achievement for such a geographically isolated society. The script might record creation myths, genealogies, religious ceremonies, or historical events that could revolutionize our understanding of Polynesian culture. Whether Rongorongo ultimately proves to be true writing or sophisticated mnemonic art, its existence demonstrates that human intellectual achievement transcends geographic limitations. Even in the world's most isolated location, separated from other civilizations by thousands of miles of ocean, human curiosity drove the development of complex symbolic systems for preserving and transmitting cultural knowledge across generations. 25. The Rohank Codex. Hidden in the archives of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences lies a book that has confounded scholars for nearly 2 centuries. A mysterious manuscript discovered in the early 1800s in the town of Rohanks, now Recknitz, Austria, that appears to be written in a script unknown to human linguistic science. The Rohank Codex spans 448 pages filled with thousands of unique symbols that don't match any known writing system, accompanied by 87 illustrations that blend Christian, Islamic, and pagan imagery in ways that seem historically impossible. The Codex's script presents an immediate puzzle. Over 200 distinct characters that combine into words and sentences following apparent grammatical rules, yet resist all attempts at translation. The symbols range from simple geometric shapes to complex characters resembling cuneiform, hieroglyphs, and runic alphabets, as if the author drew inspiration from multiple writing traditions to create something entirely new. Statistical analysis suggests the text follows natural language patterns, implying meaningful content rather than elaborate nonsense. The manuscript's illustrations deepen the mystery while providing cultural context that seems deliberately contradictory. Christian scenes depicting the life of Christ appear alongside Islamic crescents and star symbols, while pagan imagery includes figures that resemble both European and Eastern religious traditions. Some illustrations show military scenes with soldiers bearing unfamiliar banners, architectural elements that don't match any known regional style, and ceremonial objects that blend multiple religious iconographies. Dating the Codex has proven nearly impossible. Paper analysis suggests 16th century European manufacture, yet the content appears to reference historical events from different periods simultaneously. The artistic style resembles late medieval manuscript illumination, but the cultural synthesis depicted seems anachronistic for any single time or place. Theories about the Codex's origin range from scholarly to sensational. Some researchers propose it represents the work of a medieval religious sect that blended different faith traditions, perhaps a community that developed its own liturgical language and writing system to preserve secret teachings. Others suggest it might be an elaborate 19th century hoax created to fool antiquarian collectors, though the effort required would exceed any reasonable motivation for deception. More intriguing possibilities include connections to historical religious movements that operated in secret. The Codex might represent the records of alchemical societies, mystical communities, or syncretic religious groups that combined elements from Christianity, Islam, and pre-Christian European traditions. Recent computational analysis has identified recurring patterns and possible grammatical structures that suggest systematic language rather than random symbolism. However, without additional manuscripts in the same script or bilingual texts that could provide translation keys, the Rohank Codex remains locked in linguistic isolation. Whether genuine historical artifact or elaborate forgery, the Codex represents humanity's persistent drive to create and preserve knowledge through written symbols, even when those symbols become so unique that their meaning dies with their creators. 26. Indus Valley Script. Across the vast expanse of what is now Pakistan and northwestern India, archaeologists have uncovered the remains of one of humanity's earliest and most sophisticated urban civilizations, the Indus Valley culture, which flourished between 3300 to 1300 BCE. Yet despite excavating hundreds of cities and analyzing thousands of artifacts, one of archaeology's greatest mysteries remains unsolved. The script used by these ancient people continues to resist all attempts at decipherment, guarding the secrets of Bronze Age South Asia behind symbols we can see but cannot read. The Indus script appears on over 4,000 artifacts, seals, pottery, tablets, and tools, discovered across a geographic area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. The symbols range from pictographic representations of animals and humans to abstract geometric designs that suggest sophisticated symbolic thinking. Approximately 400 distinct characters have been identified, though scholars debate whether some represent variants of the same symbol or completely different meanings. What makes the Indus script particularly challenging is the brevity of individual inscriptions. Most texts contain only 4 to 5 symbols, with the longest inscription spanning just 26 characters. This limited corpus provides insufficient data for the statistical analysis techniques that successfully deciphered Egyptian hieroglyphs and Mesopotamian cuneiform. Without lengthy texts or bilingual inscriptions, scholars lack the material necessary for breakthrough translation. The script structure suggests sophisticated literacy concepts. Characters appear in systematic combinations that follow apparent grammatical rules, while the consistent orientation and spacing imply standardized writing conventions. The widespread distribution across the Indus civilization indicates systematic communication networks that enabled trade, administration, and cultural exchange across vast distances. Recent computational approaches have applied artificial intelligence and pattern recognition algorithms to identify recurring symbol sequences and possible linguistic structures. These studies suggest the script exhibits properties of natural language, character frequency distributions, word boundaries, and syntactic patterns that imply meaningful content rather than random decoration or simple pictographs. The mystery deepens when considering the Indus civilization's remarkable achievements in urban planning, engineering, and trade. Their cities featured sophisticated drainage systems, standardized weights and measures, and evidence of maritime commerce extending from Central Asia to Mesopotamia. Such organizational complexity typically requires extensive written records, yet the brief Indus inscriptions seem inadequate for managing a civilization spanning over 1,000 sites. Some researchers propose that longer Indus texts existed on perishable materials that haven't survived the subcontinent's climate. Others suggest the script served limited functions, perhaps religious or commercial applications, while oral tradition preserved most cultural knowledge. The absence of Indus script decipherment represents more than academic frustration. It symbolizes a massive gap in human historical understanding. This civilization's literature, laws, religious beliefs, and scientific knowledge remain forever locked behind undecipherable symbols, reminding us that entire chapters of human achievement can vanish when writing systems die with their creators.
27. Protoelamite Teblic.
In the ancient city of Susa, where Persian kings once ruled an empire stretching from India to Greece, archaeologists have unearthed one of humanity's earliest attempts at written communication and one of its most stubborn mysteries. Proto-Elamite tablets, dating to approximately 3200 to 2900 BCE, represent one of the world's oldest writing systems, yet after more than a century of study, these 5,000-year-old records remain as indecipherable today as when they were first discovered. The tablets emerge from the dawn of literate civilization, contemporary with the earliest Sumerian cuneiform and Egyptian hieroglyphs. Yet while scholars have successfully translated those ancient scripts, Proto-Elamite guards its secrets with remarkable persistence. Over 1,600 tablets have been recovered from sites across ancient Iran, displaying approximately 1,000 distinct signs that combine geometric abstractions with pictographic representations of animals, objects, and human activities. What makes Proto-Elamite particularly fascinating is its apparent complexity from the very beginning. Unlike other early writing systems that show gradual development from simple pictographs to sophisticated scripts, Proto-Elamite tablets display systematic organization and abstract symbolism that suggest fully developed literacy concepts. The texts appear to record administrative transactions, inventory lists, and numerical calculations using decimal and sexagesimal systems that demonstrate sophisticated mathematical thinking. The numerical notations provide tantalizing insights into Proto-Elamite society while deepening the linguistic mystery. Scholars can identify numbers and quantities, revealing economic activities involving livestock, agricultural products, and manufactured goods. These tablets document a complex administrative system managing resources across multiple sites, indicating bureaucratic sophistication that rivals contemporary Mesopotamian civilizations. Yet the linguistic content remains completely opaque. The underlying language shows no clear relationship to later Elamite, which itself represents a linguistic isolate unrelated to Indo-European, Semitic, or other known language families. This double isolation, unknown script recording unknown language, creates an almost insurmountable barrier to decipherment efforts. Recent computational approaches have applied machine learning algorithms to identify character patterns and possible grammatical structures. Digital analysis reveals that Proto-Elamite exhibits statistical properties consistent with natural language, including appropriate character frequency distributions and meaningful symbol combinations. However, these patterns haven't yielded breakthrough translations. The tablet's geographic distribution across ancient Iran suggests Proto-Elamite served as a lingua franca for early Persian civilization, enabling communication and administration across diverse communities. The script's disappearance around 2900 BCE coincides with major cultural transitions in the region, possibly reflecting political upheavals that disrupted literate traditions. The mystery of Proto-Elamite represents more than academic challenge. It symbolizes lost knowledge from humanity's earliest experiments with written communication. These tablets might contain literature, scientific observations, religious beliefs, or historical records that could revolutionize our understanding of Bronze Age civilization. Instead, they remain silent witnesses to human intellectual achievement, reminding us that some forms of ancient wisdom may be forever beyond our reach, locked in scripts that died with the civilizations that created them. 28. The Codex Seraphinianus. In 1981, Italian architect and designer Luigi Serafini completed one of the most bewildering books ever created, a lavishly illustrated encyclopedia of an imaginary world written in a script that appears meaningful yet resists all attempts at comprehension. The Codex Seraphinianus spans 360 pages filled with impossible flora and fauna, bizarre machinery, and surreal landscapes, all accompanied by text in flowing characters that follow apparent linguistic rules while conveying no decipherable meaning. Unlike ancient mysteries born from lost civilizations, the Codex represents a deliberate modern attempt to recreate the experience of encountering incomprehensible knowledge. Serafini crafted his invented script using flowing, organic characters that resemble a hybrid of Arabic calligraphy and alien hieroglyphs. The text appears to follow grammatical patterns, words vary in length, sentences end with apparent punctuation, and paragraphs organize information in encyclopedia-style entries. Yet no linguistic analysis has revealed systematic meaning. The illustrations present an alternate reality where familiar concepts twist into impossible forms. Plants bear mechanical components, animals exhibit hybrid characteristics that violate biological principles, and human figures engage in activities that seem simultaneously mundane and surreal. The artwork demonstrates scientific illustration precision while depicting phenomena that could never exist, creating cognitive dissonance between artistic authority and logical impossibility. What makes the Codex particularly unsettling is how it mimics the structure of genuine reference works. Chapters appear organized by subject matter, natural history, human anatomy, technology, architecture, following conventional encyclopedia organization. This familiar framework makes the incomprehensible content even more disorienting, as readers expect educational value from texts that present information systematically. Serafini has revealed that his script lacks systematic meaning, being designed to evoke the sensation of reading comprehensible text without actually conveying specific information. However, some elements do encode meaning. The numerical system uses base 21 calculations that researchers have successfully decoded, proving that the Codex contains at least some translatable content hidden within apparent nonsense. The Codex's influence extends far beyond art into cognitive science and linguistics. Researchers studying reading comprehension use it to investigate how humans process text, while cryptographers analyze whether truly meaningless scripts can be distinguished from undeciphered languages. The work raises profound questions about the relationship between meaning, pattern recognition, and human interpretation of symbolic systems. Recent digital analysis has identified recurring patterns and possible linguistic structures within Serafini's script, suggesting that even artificially constructed writing systems develop internal consistency when created by systematic minds. Some researchers propose that the codex might contain hidden meanings that Serafini embedded unconsciously, or that meaningful patterns emerge naturally from any sufficiently complex symbolic system. The Codex Seraphinianus serves as a modern mirror reflecting humanity's ancient encounters with incomprehensible knowledge. Just as scholars struggle with Linear A or Proto-Elamite, contemporary readers experiencing Serafini's invention gain insight into the frustration and fascination that undeciphered scripts have generated throughout human history. The work reminds us that the boundary between meaningful communication and beautiful meaninglessness remains surprisingly fluid in human consciousness. 29. Quipu Information System. High in the Andes Mountains, where the Inca Empire once stretched across 2,500 miles of some of Earth's most challenging terrain, administrators managed the world's largest empire without paper, parchment, or any conventional writing system. Instead, they relied on quipu, intricate arrangements of knotted strings that encoded information with a sophistication that challenges our fundamental assumptions about literacy, mathematics, and data storage. Quipu consists of colored cotton or wool cords tied with complex knot patterns that recorded numerical data, administrative records, and possibly narrative information across the vast Inca territories. Over 650 quipu survive today, ranging from simple numerical records to elaborate constructions containing hundreds of strings with thousands of knots arranged in patterns that suggest linguistic complexity rivaling written texts. The mathematical capabilities of quipu astound modern researchers. Inca accountants used decimal notation systems that could record numbers into the millions, employing different knot types to represent various numerical values. The position of knots along strings indicated decimal places, while string colors and arrangements provided additional categorical information. This three-dimensional data storage system enabled precise accounting for populations, agricultural production, military resources, and tribute payments across an empire spanning multiple climate zones and ethnic groups. But quipu's true mystery lies beyond mere accounting. Spanish chroniclers reported that quipu masters could use their knotted cords to recite historical narratives, genealogies, and even poetry with perfect accuracy. If true, this suggests that quipu functioned as a complete literary medium, a three-dimensional writing system that encoded linguistic information through spatial relationships, color patterns, and tactile elements rather than visual symbols. Recent analysis by Harvard's Gary Urton has identified structural patterns that suggest quipu operated as binary code systems, encoding information through presence or absence of specific features rather than symbolic representation. This approach would make quipu humanity's earliest examples of digital information storage, predating computer binary systems by over 500 years. The complexity of sophisticated quipu defies casual explanation. Some specimens contain over 1,500 strings arranged in hierarchical patterns with subsidiary cords that branch into multiple levels of organization. Creating such elaborate constructions required systematic planning, standardized conventions, and trained specialists who could encode and decode information accurately across vast distances and time periods. The tragic loss of quipu literacy following Spanish conquest represents one of history's greatest intellectual disasters. Within decades of European contact, the knowledge needed to read complex quipu vanished, taking with it the historical records, literature, and administrative wisdom of South America's most sophisticated civilization. Modern attempts to reconstruct quipu interpretation have identified mathematical patterns and possible phonetic elements, but breakthrough translation remains elusive. Without native speakers or bilingual texts, quipu continues guarding Inca secrets through knotted silence, reminding us that human ingenuity has created information storage systems whose sophistication we're only beginning to appreciate. 30. The Despilio Tablet. In 1993, beneath the still waters of Lake Castoria in northern Greece, archaeologist George Hormizaitis made a discovery that would challenge fundamental assumptions about the development of European literacy. The Despilio Tablet, a wooden artifact bearing carved symbols and dated to approximately 5,260 BCE, represents what may be Europe's earliest example of organized writing, predating Sumerian cuneiform by over 2,000 years and suggesting that sophisticated symbolic communication developed in Neolithic Europe far earlier than conventional archaeology believed possible. The tablet, preserved in the lake's anaerobic sediments for over 7,000 years, measures roughly 15 by 5 centimeters and bears carved markings that exhibit systematic organization rather than random decoration. The symbols include geometric shapes, linear patterns, and what appear to be stylized representations of objects or concepts. Carbon dating and stratigraphic analysis confirm the tablet's Neolithic age, placing it within the cultural context of Europe's earliest farming communities. What makes the Despilio tablet revolutionary is its implications for European intellectual development. Mainstream archaeology traditionally viewed writing as an innovation that spread from Mesopotamia and Egypt into Europe during the Bronze Age, thousands of years after the Despilio tablet's creation. If the tablet represents genuine proto-writing, it suggests that European Neolithic communities independently developed symbolic communication systems that parallel developments in the Near East. The symbols themselves resist easy interpretation, though their systematic arrangement suggests meaningful content rather than decorative art. Some markings resemble later European scripts, while others appear completely unique. The absence of comparable artifacts makes interpretation extremely difficult, leaving scholars to debate whether the tablet represents true writing, proto-writing that recorded specific information, or sophisticated symbolic art that conveyed meaning through non-linguistic methods. Recent comparative analysis has identified possible connections between Despilio symbols and other early European symbolic systems, including the mysterious signs found in Paleolithic cave art and the geometric patterns carved on Neolithic monuments across the continent. These connections hint at deep continuities in European symbolic thinking that span millennia, suggesting that the cognitive foundations for writing may have developed much earlier than previously thought. The tablet's discovery context provides additional insights into Neolithic European society. The lake settlement where it was found shows evidence of sophisticated community organization, advanced woodworking techniques, and long-distance trade networks that connected Balkan communities with distant regions. This cultural complexity supports the possibility that such societies possessed the intellectual sophistication necessary for developing organized symbolic communication. However, skeptics argue that the tablet's markings might represent ownership marks, decorative patterns, or ritual symbols rather than systematic writing. Without additional examples or longer texts, definitive interpretation remains impossible. The tablet's unique status makes it vulnerable to overinterpretation by researchers eager to push back the boundaries of European literacy. Whether the Despilio tablet represents Europe's earliest writing or sophisticated symbolic art, its existence demonstrates that Neolithic communities possessed intellectual capabilities far exceeding conventional assumptions. The tablet reminds us that human cognitive development followed complex patterns across different regions, and that the story of writing's invention may be far more complicated and geographically diverse than traditional narratives suggest. Anomalous stone artifacts. 31. The Klerksdorp spheres. Deep in the gold mines of South Africa, where miners blast through rock formations that predate complex life on Earth, workers have uncovered objects so perfectly spherical, so geometrically precise, that they seem impossible products of natural processes. The Klerksdorp spheres, hundreds of metallic orbs discovered in 28-billion-year-old pyrophyllite deposits, present one of geology's most perplexing mysteries, challenging our understanding of how natural forces could create artificial-looking perfection in rocks older than oxygen-breathing life. These enigmatic spheres measure between 0.5 to 10 centimeters in diameter, displaying mathematical precision that would impress modern machinists. Many exhibit perfectly parallel grooves encircling their equators, 3 distinct ridges that appear deliberately carved rather than naturally formed. The sphere's metallic composition consists primarily of pyrite and pyrophyllite, yet their hardness exceeds the surrounding soft rock by significant margins, making their preservation through billions of years of geological processes even more mysterious. What transforms these objects from geological curiosities into genuine anomalies is their impossible perfection. Several spheres balance so precisely on their flattened bases that they remain stable despite slight disturbances, a feat requiring manufacturing tolerances measured in fractions of millimeters. Their surfaces often display mirror-like smoothness interrupted only by the mysterious parallel grooves that seem too regular, too purposeful to result from random geological forces. The geological context deepens the mystery. The Wonderstone silver mine near Ottistal, where most spheres were discovered, contains rock formations that solidified before Earth's atmosphere contained significant oxygen. Finding perfectly spherical objects with apparent tool marks in such ancient deposits challenges fundamental assumptions about geological processes and the timeline of complex structure formation on our planet. Museum director Ralph Marks documented the sphere's anomalous properties, noting that they're harder than steel yet embedded in soft pyrophyllite that miners can scratch with fingernails. This hardness differential seems impossible. How could harder objects form within softer matrices without creating detectable geological disturbances? The preservation mechanism that maintains spherical precision through 28 billion years of tectonic activity, erosion, and metamorphism defies conventional geological explanation. Mainstream geology proposes that the spheres represent concretions, natural formations where minerals precipitate around central nuclei, sometimes achieving surprising regularity through uniform chemical conditions. The parallel grooves might result from periodic crystallization events or pressure variations during formation. However, this explanation struggles to account for the sphere's extreme precision and the consistent groove patterns that appear across numerous specimens. Alternative researchers propose more exotic origins, though scientific evidence remains limited. The spheres continue generating speculation about ancient technological civilizations, extraterrestrial artifacts, or unknown geological processes that operated during Earth's early history. Whether natural wonders or genuine anomalies, the Klarksdorp spheres remind us that our planet still harbors mysteries as perfect and inexplicable as anything human imagination could devise. 32. Costa Rican stone spheres. Hidden beneath the dense rainforest canopy of Costa Rica's Diquis Valley, workers clearing land for banana plantations in the 1930s uncovered one of archaeology's most perfectly engineered mysteries. Scattered across the jungle floor lay hundreds of stone spheres so geometrically precise, so mathematically perfect, that they appeared to have been shaped by cosmic forces rather than human hands. These granite orbs, ranging from baseball-sized specimens to colossal monuments over 2 meters in diameter, represent an achievement in stone-working precision that modern technology struggles to replicate. The spheres demonstrate manufacturing accuracy that defies explanation. Laser measurements reveal that many achieve spherical precision within 2 millimeters, tolerances that would challenge contemporary stone-cutting equipment. The largest specimens weigh over 16 tons, yet maintain perfect roundness across their entire surface. Creating such precision requires not only sophisticated mathematical understanding but manufacturing techniques that seem impossible for a culture that supposedly lacked metal tools and mechanical instruments. The Diquis culture, which created these masterpieces between 600–1500 CE, left no written records explaining their methods or motivations. Archaeological evidence suggests they used only stone hammers, wooden tools, and abrasive sands to shape the hardest granite, a process that should have required decades of labor for each large sphere. Yet, the consistent quality across hundreds of specimens implies systematic production methods rather than individual artistic efforts. What makes the spheres truly mystifying is their original arrangement. Before thoughtless collectors scattered them as lawn ornaments, the spheres were positioned in precise geometric patterns that aligned with magnetic north and astronomical features. Some arrangements formed straight lines extending for miles, while others created complex geometric shapes whose significance remains unknown. These alignments suggest the spheres served as components in a larger system, perhaps astronomical observatory, territorial markers, or religious calendar, whose purpose died with its creators. The construction process poses equally baffling questions. How did ancient craftsmen achieve perfect spherical geometry without mathematical instruments? Computer analysis reveals that creating such precision requires understanding of three-dimensional geometry, surface measurement techniques, and systematic approaches to material removal that seem beyond Stone Age capabilities. The final polishing stage would have demanded abrasives and techniques that archaeologists haven't identified in the regional tool record. Recent research has identified quarry sites where specific granite types were extracted for sphere production, located kilometers from finished artifact locations. Moving 16-ton spheres across jungle terrain without wheeled vehicles or large domesticated animals presents logistical challenges that compound the manufacturing mystery. The entire production system, from quarrying to transportation to final positioning, required organizational capabilities that exceed conventional assumptions about pre-Columbian societies. Today, UNESCO recognizes the spheres as World Heritage Artifacts, protecting surviving specimens from further damage while researchers continue seeking answers to their creation. These perfect stone orbs stand as silent testimony to human achievement that transcends apparent technological limitations, reminding us that ancient ingenuity sometimes produced results that seem impossible even by contemporary standards. 33. The Ica Stones. In the desert town of Ica, Peru, where ancient winds have sculpted the landscape for millennia, a collection of carved stones tells impossible stories that challenge the very foundations of human history. These enigmatic artifacts, numbering in the thousands, depict scenes that shouldn't exist. Humans interacting with dinosaurs, advanced surgical procedures being performed with precision instruments, astronomical observations using sophisticated telescopes, and technological achievements that supposedly wouldn't appear for centuries. The stones emerged from obscurity in the 1960s when Dr. Javier Cabrera began collecting them from local sources, eventually amassing over 11,000 specimens in his private museum. The carvings display remarkable artistic sophistication, showing detailed anatomical knowledge, complex technological devices, and astronomical phenomena rendered with scientific accuracy. Some stones depict human figures performing heart transplants, brain surgery, and other medical procedures using instruments that resemble modern surgical tools. Most controversially, hundreds of stones show humans coexisting with dinosaurs. Scenes of people riding triceratops, hunting with velociraptors, and domesticating various extinct species. These depictions exhibit paleontological accuracy that wouldn't be available to forgers until recent dinosaur research, showing anatomical details and behavioral characteristics that match current scientific understanding of extinct species. The authentication challenge surrounding Ica stones represents one of archaeology's most complex mysteries. In 1977, BBC investigators documented local craftsman Basilio Usquia demonstrating stone carving techniques using dental drills and modern tools, apparently creating ancient artifacts for the tourist market. This revelation cast doubt on the entire collection, suggesting that most specimens were recent forgeries designed to exploit collector interest. However, the situation proves more nuanced than simple fraud. Spanish colonial records from the 16th century mention indigenous carved stones, providing historical precedent for authentic examples. Some stones show geological patination consistent with genuine age, while others display modern tool marks and minimal weathering. Scientific analysis reveals a mixed collection where authentic pre-Columbian artifacts appear alongside obvious modern fakes. The authentic specimens present their own mysteries. While clearly pre-Columbian in manufacture, they often depict conventional subjects, local animals, religious ceremonies, and cultural activities consistent with known Andean civilizations. The fantastic imagery showing dinosaurs and advanced technology appears exclusively on stones with evidence of modern manufacture. Recent research attempts to distinguish authentic from fraudulent specimens through careful analysis of carving techniques, patination patterns, and cultural motifs. Genuine pre-Columbian examples show Bronze Age tool marks, proper geological weathering, and imagery consistent with known Andean cultural traditions. Modern fakes display power tool marks, artificial aging techniques, and anachronistic subject matter inspired by contemporary popular culture. The Ica stones phenomenon illustrates how genuine archaeological mysteries can become contaminated by commercial exploitation and wishful thinking. While the vast majority of spectacular specimens appear to be modern creations, the presence of some authentic carved stones within the collection ensures that the mystery persists, reminding us that separating archaeological fact from fiction requires careful scientific analysis rather than sensational interpretation. 34. Dropa stones. High in the remote mountains between Tibet and China, where ancient legends speak of sky people who descended from the heavens, lies one of archaeology's most elaborate fictional mysteries, the story of the Dropa stones, allegedly 716 circular stone discs containing hieroglyphic inscriptions that tell of extraterrestrial visitors crash landing 12,000 years ago, represents not an archaeological discovery but a masterpiece of modern mythology that demonstrates how compelling narratives can persist despite complete absence of evidence. According to the fabricated account, Chinese archaeologist Qi Puti discovered the discs in 1938 while exploring caves in the Bayan Har Mountains. Each disc supposedly measured about 30 centimeters in diameter with a hole in the center, bearing spiral hieroglyphic inscriptions that remained undeciphered until Professor Tsumam Nui allegedly translated them in 1962. The translated text supposedly described how extraterrestrial beings called the Dropa crash-landed on Earth and were initially attacked by local tribes before eventually integrating with human society. The narrative includes tantalizing details that seem to support its authenticity. Specific measurements, precise dates, named researchers, and even claims that the discs were studied at Beijing University. Some versions describe the stones as having unusual properties, vibrating when exposed to electrical current or containing high levels of cobalt that made them appear artificially manufactured rather than naturally formed. However, forensic investigation reveals the entire story as pure fiction. Qi Puti and Tsumam Nui have no historical records in Chinese academic institutions. The Beijing Academy for Ancient Studies never existed. Tsumam Nui isn't even a legitimate Chinese name structure, revealing the fabrication's cultural ignorance. No museum anywhere in the world possesses Dropa stone specimens, despite claims that examples were housed in major institutions. The story's origins trace to 1960s German publications, particularly the work of Erich von Daniken and other ancient astronaut theorists seeking evidence for extraterrestrial contact. The narrative was constructed by combining elements from legitimate archaeological discoveries, actual stone discs found in various cultures, mysterious cave systems in remote regions, and unexplained ancient texts, into a fictional synthesis that seemed plausible to audiences unfamiliar with rigorous archaeological methodology. What makes the Dropa stones significant isn't their fictional nature, but their demonstration of how modern mythology spreads through media repetition and wishful thinking. The story has been repeated in countless books, documentaries, and internet sources, each iteration adding new details while maintaining the core narrative's emotional appeal. This proliferation shows how compelling stories can achieve widespread acceptance without requiring physical evidence or scholarly verification. The Dropa stones phenomenon serves as a crucial reminder that authentic archaeological mysteries require rigorous documentation, physical evidence, and peer review. Unlike genuine puzzles such as the Antikythera mechanism or Voynich manuscript, which present real artifacts that resist explanation, fictional mysteries rely entirely on narrative appeal and the human desire to believe in extraordinary possibilities that transcend mundane reality. 35. The Stone Spheres of Bosnia. In the rolling hills of central Bosnia, where ancient forests conceal secrets from Europe's turbulent past, researchers have uncovered massive stone spheres that reignite debates about lost civilizations and forgotten technologies. These colossal orbs, some measuring over 3 meters in diameter and weighing up to 30 tons, emerge from the earth with surprising regularity, their near-perfect spherical forms challenging conventional understanding of natural rock formation while stirring controversy about their true origins. The spheres gained international attention through the work of Samir Osmanagic, who claims they represent artifacts from an advanced ancient civilization that also constructed the controversial Bosnian pyramids, according to these theories. The spheres served as energy devices, astronomical instruments, or components in a vast technological system that operated in prehistoric Europe. Their size and precision, proponents argue, exceed what natural geological processes should produce, suggesting deliberate artificial construction by unknown ancient engineers. The largest specimens display remarkable geometric precision that seems to challenge natural formation theories. Measurements reveal spherical accuracy within centimeters across diameters exceeding 3 meters, precision that would be impressive for modern stone-cutting equipment. The sphere's surfaces often show uniform composition and texture that appears more consistent with artificial manufacture than random geological processes. However, mainstream geology offers alternative explanations rooted in well-understood natural phenomena. The spheres most likely represent concretions, natural formations where minerals precipitate around central nuclei in sedimentary environments. Under specific chemical conditions, concretions can achieve surprising spherical regularity as minerals accumulate uniformly around central points. Similar formations appear worldwide, suggesting the Bosnian spheres represent regional examples of global geological processes. The formation mechanism involves groundwater carrying dissolved minerals through porous sedimentary rock. When chemical conditions change, often due to pH variations or temperature fluctuations, minerals precipitate out of solution, gradually accumulating around nucleation sites such as fossils, rock fragments, or chemical irregularities. Over geological timescales, this process can create remarkably spherical concretions that appear artificially manufactured. Scientific analysis of Bosnian sphere composition reveals characteristics consistent with natural concretion formation. The spheres consist primarily of sandstone with iron oxide cement, showing mineral compositions and crystal structures typical of sedimentary environments. Microscopic examination reveals no evidence of artificial tooling, uniform manufacturing techniques, or compositional anomalies that would suggest technological construction. The controversy surrounding Bosnian spheres reflects broader tensions between alternative archaeological theories and mainstream scientific consensus. Media attention and tourism potential have amplified claims about the sphere's artificial nature, while geological professionals emphasize that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence that hasn't yet materialized. Regardless of their ultimate origin, the Bosnian spheres demonstrate nature's capacity for creating geometric precision that rivals human engineering. Whether formed through ancient technology or natural geological processes, these massive orbs continue attracting researchers, tourists, and mystery enthusiasts who find wonder in perfectly round stones emerging from European hillsides like remnants of a cosmic bowling game played by giants. 36. Cairn of Barnanez. On the granite coast of Brittany, where ancient megaliths pierce the landscape like stone needles stitching earth to sky, stands Europe's oldest surviving monumental architecture. The Cairn of Barnanez, rising 75 meters long and 25 meters wide from the Finisterre Peninsula, represents humanity's first monumental attempt to conquer death through stone. A Neolithic masterpiece constructed around 4,800 BCE that predates Stonehenge by 2,000 years and the Egyptian pyramids by 1,000 years. This colossal structure required moving and precisely positioning over 13,000 tons of granite and dolerite blocks, creating a monument whose scale and sophistication challenge every assumption about Stone Age capabilities. The cairn contains 11 distinct burial chambers connected by passages that demonstrate advanced understanding of structural engineering, acoustic properties, and astronomical alignments that suggest systematic scientific knowledge rather than crude prehistoric construction. What makes Barnanez truly remarkable is its construction logistics. Neolithic builders somehow quarried, transported, and positioned massive stone blocks weighing up to 7 tons each, using only wooden rollers, rope, and human muscle power. The largest stones were selected from quarries located several kilometers away, requiring organizational capabilities that coordinated hundreds of workers across complex terrain without wheeled vehicles or large domesticated animals. The monument's internal architecture reveals sophisticated planning that exceeds expectations for 7,000-year-old engineering. Each burial chamber features precisely fitted stone walls, carefully calculated load-bearing structures, and elaborate passage systems that required advanced understanding of geometry and structural mechanics. Some chambers achieve acoustic properties that amplify whispered sounds while dampening external noise, suggesting deliberate design for ritual or ceremonial purposes. Recent analysis has revealed the cairn's complex construction history, showing that it was built in phases over several centuries. This extended construction timeline indicates sustained cultural continuity and resource commitment that challenges conventional assumptions about Neolithic society's organizational capabilities. The project required not just initial construction but ongoing maintenance and expansion that spanned multiple generations. The astronomical alignments embedded within Barnanez demonstrate systematic skywatching that parallels achievements at later monuments like Newgrange and Stonehenge. Several chamber passages align with winter solstice sunrise, while others target specific stellar positions that suggest calendar keeping and celestial observation systems that enabled agricultural timing and religious ceremony scheduling. Archaeological evidence reveals that Barnanez served multiple functions beyond simple burial monument. The site shows evidence of ritual activities, ceremonial gatherings, and possibly astronomical observations that continued for millennia after its initial construction. This sustained use indicates that the monument fulfilled essential cultural functions that transcended its original purpose. The cairn's preservation through nearly 7,000 years of Atlantic storms, human interference, and natural erosion demonstrates construction quality that modern builders would struggle to achieve. The precisely fitted stones have maintained structural integrity without mortar, while the internal passages remain accessible and stable despite their extraordinary age. Barnanez stands as testament to humanity's earliest monumental ambitions, proving that our ancestors possessed engineering capabilities, organizational skills, and cultural sophistication that enabled them to create architecture designed for eternity long before the rise of civilizations we traditionally consider advanced. 37. The Cocknoe Stone. Hidden beneath the suburban sprawl near Glasgow, Scotland, lies one of Europe's most enigmatic prehistoric artworks, a massive rock canvas covered with mysterious symbols that have puzzled archaeologists for over a century. The Cocknoe Stone, measuring 42 feet by 26 feet, bears hundreds of intricate carvings created around 3000 BCE by Neolithic artists whose motivations and methods remain as mysterious today as when the stone was first discovered in 1887. The surface of this enormous sandstone outcrop is covered with over 90 carved cup marks, many surrounded by concentric ring patterns that create complex geometric designs across the rock's weathered surface. Some cups appear alone, others are connected by channels and grooves that form intricate networks suggesting deliberate symbolic meaning. The largest ring systems measure over a meter in diameter, while the smallest cups are barely finger-sized, creating a composition that seems to map unknown territories of prehistoric consciousness. What makes the Cocknoe Stone particularly mystifying is the sophistication of its symbolic system. The cup and ring marks aren't randomly distributed but follow apparent organizational principles that suggest systematic meaning. Some patterns align with astronomical phenomena, while others seem to represent topographical features or abstract concepts that we can no longer interpret. The precision of the carving indicates skilled craftsmanship using stone tools that achieved remarkably consistent results across the monument's vast surface. The stone represents Scotland's finest example of prehistoric rock art, part of a tradition that spans Atlantic Europe from Spain to Scandinavia. Similar cup and ring marks appear on thousands of Neolithic monuments, yet their purpose remains completely unknown. Theories range from astronomical charts and territorial maps to religious symbols and prehistoric writing systems, but no interpretation has gained universal acceptance among scholars. Recent digital scanning has revealed previously unnoticed details in the Cocknoe Stone's carvings, including faint markings that may have been deliberately obscured or damaged over time. Advanced imaging techniques show that the original carving extended across even more of the stone's surface than previously recognized, suggesting a composition of breathtaking complexity that took years or decades to complete. The carving techniques themselves present mysteries about Neolithic capabilities. Creating such precise circular patterns and geometric relationships required sophisticated planning and measurement techniques that archaeologists haven't identified in the prehistoric tool record. The consistent depth and width of carved lines suggest systematic approaches to rock carving that imply standardized methods and possibly specialized craftsmen. Environmental analysis reveals that the Cocknoe Stone was positioned to maximize visibility across the surrounding landscape, suggesting it served as a landmark or gathering point for Neolithic communities. The stone's location commands extensive views across the Clyde Valley, making it an ideal location for astronomical observations or territorial markers that could be seen from great distances. In 2016, archaeologists reburied the stone under protective soil after decades of vandalism and weathering threatened its preservation. This conservation effort ensures the stone's survival while highlighting the ongoing challenge of protecting prehistoric art whose meaning we may never fully understand, leaving future generations to continue puzzling over symbols carved by hands that understood mysteries we have forgotten. 38. The Heliodorus Pillar. In the ancient town of Vidisha, where trade routes once carried treasures between empires and civilizations merged in unprecedented ways, stands a stone pillar that records one of history's most remarkable religious conversions. The Heliodorus Pillar, erected around 110 BCE by a Greek ambassador to an Indian court, bears Sanskrit inscriptions that document a cultural synthesis so extraordinary it challenges our understanding of how ancient civilizations interacted across vast distances and seemingly incompatible belief systems. The pillar's inscription tells an almost impossible story. Heliodorus, son of Dion, a Greek from Taxilis serving as ambassador to the court of King Bhagabhadra, erected this monument as a devotee of Vasudeva, the Hindu deity known as Krishna. This transformation from Greek polytheist to Hindu devotee represents one of the earliest documented cases of voluntary religious conversion between major ancient traditions, occurring during a period when such cultural exchanges seemed impossible. What makes this conversion truly remarkable is its implications for ancient globalization. Heliodorus wasn't merely adopting surface elements of local culture for diplomatic convenience. The inscription demonstrates deep theological understanding and genuine religious commitment. The pillar was erected as a Garuda column, dedicated to Vishnu in his form as Vasudeva, showing that this Greek diplomat achieved sophisticated comprehension of Hindu philosophy and mythology. The linguistic evidence reveals the extent of cultural fusion occurring in 2nd century BCE India. The inscription uses Brahmi script to record Sanskrit religious concepts, yet identifies the dedicator using Greek nomenclature and geographic references. This multilingual, multicultural synthesis suggests that ancient courts operated as cosmopolitan centers where diverse traditions merged through daily interaction rather than remaining isolated within cultural boundaries. Archaeological analysis of the pillar's construction techniques reveals artistic influences that blend Greek sculptural traditions with Indian architectural principles. The monument's proportions follow mathematical relationships common in Greek art, while its religious symbolism draws entirely from Hindu traditions. This fusion demonstrates how skilled craftsmen incorporated multiple cultural traditions into unified artistic expressions. The historical context makes Heliodorus's conversion even more significant. This period saw the collapse of Greek kingdoms in Central Asia and increasing pressure from expanding empires that threatened Hellenistic communities. Rather than clinging to ancestral traditions, this Greek diplomat embraced local culture so completely that he became a religious patron, suggesting that ancient cultural exchange operated through personal transformation rather than mere political accommodation. Recent epigraphic research has revealed additional details about Heliodorus's background and the cultural environment that enabled his religious transformation. The inscription places him within a network of diplomatic relationships that connected Greek kingdoms, Indian courts, and diverse religious communities across Central and South Asia, indicating systematic cultural exchange that facilitated deep personal conversions. The Heliodorus Pillar stands as testament to humanity's capacity for transcending cultural boundaries through genuine spiritual engagement, proving that ancient world was far more cosmopolitan and interconnected than conventional history suggests, and that individuals could achieve authentic transformation across seemingly incompatible civilizations. 39. Standing Stones of Callanish. On the windswept Isle of Lewis in Scotland's Outer Hebrides, where Atlantic gales have carved the landscape for millennia, stands one of Europe's most sophisticated prehistoric observatories. The Callanish stones, erected around 2900 BCE by Neolithic communities who possessed astronomical knowledge that rivals modern understanding, create a cruciform pattern of megalithic markers that transforms the entire landscape into a precision instrument for tracking celestial movements with startling accuracy. The monument's complex layout defies simple categorization as a typical stone circle. 48 standing stones arranged in precise geometric patterns create a central circle surrounded by radial rows that extend north, south, east, and west across the moorland. The tallest stone reaches nearly 5 meters into the sky, while the entire arrangement spans over 120 meters, requiring quarrying, transport, and precise positioning of massive blocks across challenging terrain without wheeled vehicles or large domesticated animals. What elevates Callanish from impressive monument to genuine mystery is its astronomical sophistication. The stone alignments track multiple celestial phenomena with precision that suggests systematic observation spanning generations. The most remarkable alignment occurs every 186 years when the moon appears to dance along the southern stone row during its extreme southern standstill, a celestial event that requires decades of patient skywatching to predict and track accurately. The lunar observations encoded in Callanish's geometry demonstrate mathematical and astronomical knowledge that challenges conventional assumptions about Neolithic intellectual capabilities. Predicting the moon's 186-year cycle requires understanding complex orbital mechanics and the ability to maintain accurate records across multiple human generations. The precision achieved suggests that Neolithic communities possessed systematic scientific methods for celestial observation and data preservation. Construction logistics present equally mysterious challenges. The builders quarried local Lewisian gneiss, some of Earth's oldest rock, and shaped it using only stone tools into monoliths weighing several tons each. Transporting these megalithic stones across Lewis's rough terrain required sophisticated engineering solutions and coordinated community effort that speaks to organizational capabilities exceeding typical assumptions about prehistoric society. The monument's cultural significance extends beyond astronomical function. Archaeological evidence reveals that Callanish served as a ceremonial center for thousands of years, drawing pilgrims from across Scotland and beyond. The site shows evidence of ritual activities, burial practices, and community gatherings that suggest it fulfilled multiple functions as observatory, religious center, and territorial marker. Recent archaeological research has revealed that Callanish was part of a larger network of stone circles and astronomical monuments across Scotland's islands. This distribution suggests coordinated construction efforts and shared astronomical knowledge among Neolithic communities separated by dangerous sea crossings, implying communication networks and cultural exchange systems that operated across significant geographic barriers. The stone's positioning also demonstrates sophisticated understanding of landscape relationships and visual impact. From central positions, observers can track multiple celestial events, while the monument's cruciform layout creates sightlines that connect astronomical phenomena with prominent landscape features, integrating cosmic observations with earthbound territorial marking. Callanish reminds us that our prehistoric ancestors possessed intellectual sophistication and observational skills that enabled them to decode celestial mysteries and embed that knowledge in stone monuments designed to preserve astronomical wisdom across millennia of cultural change. Impossible geological artifacts. 40. The London Hammer. In 1936, near the small Texas town of London, Max Hahn made a discovery that would captivate mystery enthusiasts for decades, while serving as a perfect example of how geological processes can create convincing illusions of impossible antiquity. While walking along Red Creek, Hahn noticed a curious rock formation with what appeared to be a wooden handle protruding from solid limestone. When he cracked open the encasing stone, he revealed a well-preserved iron hammer that seemed to have been embedded in rock supposedly formed 400 million years ago, long before humans existed on Earth. The hammer appeared to present an impossible chronological puzzle. The limestone formation was identified by some as belonging to the Ordovician period, making it hundreds of millions of years old, a time when only primitive marine life existed and terrestrial ecosystems hadn't yet evolved. How could a manufactured iron tool exist in rock layers that predated not only human civilization but the evolution of land animals entirely? Initial examination revealed intriguing details that seemed to support extraordinary claims. The hammer's iron head showed unusual composition with minimal corrosion despite apparent great age. The wooden handle remained remarkably well preserved, suggesting rapid encasement that prevented normal decay processes. Most compelling, the rock surrounding the hammer appeared genuinely ancient, with mineral formations and crystalline structures that seemed to indicate geological age measured in geological eras rather than human centuries. However, scientific analysis revealed a much more mundane explanation that demonstrates how natural processes can create convincing archaeological illusions. The ancient rock surrounding the hammer proved to be a carbonate concretion, a common geological formation where dissolved minerals precipitate around objects to create hard, rock-like shells that can form within decades or centuries rather than millions of years. Carbonate concretions develop when groundwater carrying dissolved limestone encounters objects that serve as nucleation sites. the minerals gradually accumulate around the object, creating increasingly thick shells that eventually achieve rock-like hardness and appearance. This process operates so efficiently that objects lost or discarded in appropriate geological environments can become convincingly fossilized within human lifetimes. Detailed examination of the hammer itself revealed construction techniques and metallurgical characteristics consistent with 19th-century American manufacturing. The head showed typical signs of period ironworking, while the handle design matched tools used in Texas mining operations during the late 1800s. Carbon dating of organic materials associated with the artifact confirmed its recent origin rather than prehistoric antiquity. The London hammer case exemplifies the importance of rigorous scientific analysis when evaluating claims about anomalous artifacts. Initial appearances can be extremely deceiving, particularly when natural processes mimic conditions typically associated with great age. Without proper geological analysis, carbonate concretions can easily be mistaken for genuine fossils or ancient rock formations. This incident highlights common patterns in out-of-place artifact claims: extraordinary initial discovery, absence of proper scientific context, misidentification of geological processes, and resistance to conventional explanations despite clear evidence. The London hammer serves as a valuable educational tool, demonstrating how critical thinking and scientific methodology can reveal conventional explanations for seemingly impossible discoveries, while reminding us that nature itself is often more remarkable than any human mystery. 41. The Coso Artifact. In February 1961, 3 rock collectors hunting for geodes in California's Coso Mountains made a discovery that would become one of the most famous examples of supposed impossible archaeological evidence. Wallace Lane, Virginia Maxey, and Mike Mikesell found what appeared to be a typical geode, a rounded rock formation that often contains beautiful crystal formations inside. But when they cut it open expecting to find crystals, they instead discovered what looked like a mechanical device embedded in the stone, complete with metallic components and ceramic elements that seemed impossibly advanced for a rock supposedly 500,000 years old. The object's appearance immediately suggested technological complexity that challenged conventional understanding of geological timescales. X-ray analysis revealed what appeared to be a central metallic core surrounded by ceramic material, with threaded components and internal structures that resembled modern manufacturing. The rock's exterior showed mineral formations and oxidation patterns that convinced initial observers of genuine geological age, suggesting that this technological artifact had somehow been embedded in stone during ancient geological processes. Claims about the artifact's impossible antiquity spread rapidly through mystery literature and alternative archaeology publications. Researchers estimated the encasing rock's age at approximately 500,000 years, placing the mysterious device's origin during the Middle Pleistocene epoch, when human technology supposedly consisted of primitive stone tools rather than precision mechanical components. However, subsequent analysis by qualified geologists revealed the true nature of this supposed archaeological anomaly. The ancient geode proved to be a modern concretion, a mineral formation that develops around objects in specific environmental conditions. Rather than requiring hundreds of thousands of years to form, such concretions can develop within decades when dissolved minerals precipitate around foreign objects embedded in appropriate sedimentary environments. More definitively, detailed examination of the internal components revealed the artifact's mundane identity: a 1920s champion spark plug that had been discarded in the California desert and subsequently encased by natural mineral deposition. The threaded metallic core, ceramic insulator, and internal structure exactly matched Champion's W145 spark plug design used in Ford Model T automobiles and other early 20th century engines. The formation process demonstrated how rapidly natural geological processes can create convincing illusions of antiquity. Desert environments in the American Southwest provide ideal conditions for concretion formation, where seasonal rainfall dissolves limestone and other minerals that later precipitate around objects during dry periods. Over several decades, this process can create rock-like shells that appear genuinely ancient to casual observation. The Coso artifact case highlights critical principles for evaluating anomalous archaeological claims. Superficial examination can be extremely misleading, particularly when dealing with unfamiliar geological processes. Proper scientific analysis requires understanding of local geological conditions, detailed examination of supposed artifacts, and careful consideration of conventional explanations before accepting extraordinary interpretations. This incident perfectly illustrates how human pattern recognition instincts can misinterpret natural phenomena as artificial anomalies, and how important rigorous scientific methodology becomes when distinguishing between genuine mysteries and convincing but conventional explanations that challenge our initial assumptions about impossible discoveries. 42. Fossilized human footprints. Across remote locations worldwide, from Texas riverbanks to Australian outcrops, amateur fossil hunters and mystery enthusiasts have reported discoveries that would revolutionize our understanding of human evolution, if they were genuine. These supposed human footprints, allegedly preserved in rock formations millions of years older than the earliest human ancestors, represent one of the most persistent categories of impossible archaeological evidence, challenging established timelines of human development while illustrating how natural processes can create uncannily convincing illusions. The most famous claims emerged from the Paluxy River in Texas, where enthusiasts documented what appeared to be human footprints preserved alongside dinosaur tracks in Cretaceous limestone formations supposedly 100 million years old. The impressions showed heel marks, toe impressions, and size ranges consistent with adult human feet, creating compelling visual evidence that humans and dinosaurs coexisted during the Mesozoic era, a chronological impossibility according to conventional paleontology. Similar discoveries have been reported from sites across multiple continents, each presenting apparent evidence that humans existed millions of years before evolutionary biology suggests possible. Impressions resembling human feet have been documented in Carboniferous coal deposits, Permian sandstones, and other geological formations that predate mammalian evolution, let alone human development. What makes these claims initially convincing is the remarkable similarity between some natural impressions and actual human footprints. Erosion patterns, differential weathering, and mineral deposition can create elongated depressions with apparent heel and toe marks that trigger human pattern recognition instincts. When discovered in obviously ancient rock formations, such impressions can seem to provide undeniable evidence of impossible chronological relationships. However, rigorous paleontological analysis consistently reveals conventional explanations for these supposed anomalies. Most footprints represent natural erosion features, weathering patterns, or the remains of invertebrate burrows that coincidentally resemble human foot shapes. Differential erosion creates elongated depressions, while mineral staining often produces darker areas that suggest toe or heel impressions to suggestible observers. Genuine paleontological footprints exhibit specific characteristics that amateur discoveries typically lack. Authentic trace fossils show evidence of weight displacement, sediment compression patterns, and preservation conditions that reflect actual biological activity. They occur in appropriate geological contexts with other fossils from the same time period, forming coherent assemblages that support rather than contradict established evolutionary timelines. The Paluxy River case, extensively investigated by professional paleontologists, revealed that supposed human prints were actually erosional features, poorly preserved dinosaur tracks, or deliberate carvings created by local residents during the Depression era to attract tourists. When examined under controlled conditions with proper lighting and measurement techniques, the human characteristics disappeared, revealing natural geological processes rather than biological evidence. Modern paleontology has documented genuine human footprints at sites like Litoli in Tanzania, where 36-million-year-old tracks preserve evidence of early hominin locomotion in appropriate geological contexts. These authentic discoveries demonstrate how legitimate trace fossils differ from the erosional features and misidentified impressions that generate false claims about impossible human antiquity. The persistent appeal of anomalous footprint claims reflects humanity's desire to discover evidence that challenges conventional scientific understanding, while illustrating how important proper analytical methods become when distinguishing between genuine paleontological discoveries and natural phenomena that coincidentally resemble biological traces. 43. The Antelope Springs Trilobite. On June 1, 1968, amateur fossil collector William Meister made what he believed was the most revolutionary paleontological discovery in human history while searching for trilobites in Utah's Antelope Springs Formation. When he split open a piece of Wheeler shale, Meister found what appeared to be a human sandal print that had seemingly crushed a trilobite, creating an impossible tableau that would place humans in the Cambrian period over 500 million years ago, when complex life barely existed and the most advanced organisms were primitive marine invertebrates. The specimen appeared to show a clear shoe or sandal impression, approximately 10 inches long, with a trilobite fossil embedded within what looked like the heel area. The impression included apparent details that seemed to confirm artificial footwear, straight edges suggesting manufactured soles, a defined heel area, and even what appeared to be stitching patterns. Most compelling, the trilobite appeared to have been crushed by the supposed foot, creating a perfect fossil record of an impossible encounter between modern humans and Paleozoic marine life. The discovery immediately attracted attention from researchers challenging conventional evolutionary timelines, who saw the specimen as physical evidence that humans and trilobites coexisted during the Cambrian explosion. If authentic, the footprint would require complete revision of both geological timescales and evolutionary theory, pushing human origins back over 500 million years before any vertebrate life existed on Earth. However, detailed geological analysis revealed a much simpler explanation that demonstrated how natural processes can create convincing archaeological illusions. The footprint was actually a spall, a natural rock breakage pattern that occurred along pre-existing fracture planes in the Wheeler Shale. When Meister split the rock, it separated along these natural weakness points, creating a depression that coincidentally resembled a shoe sole. The trilobite fossil was genuine and had been naturally embedded in the sedimentary layers during the Cambrian period through normal fossilization processes. However, it showed no evidence of having been crushed or compressed by external pressure. Instead, the fossil displayed typical preservation characteristics consistent with burial in marine sediments, with no deformation patterns that would indicate trampling or compression by a heavy object. Geological examination revealed that Wheeler Shale naturally splits along bedding planes and fracture lines that can create elongated depressions resembling artificial shapes. The rock's layered structure makes it particularly prone to separating in patterns that trigger human pattern recognition, causing observers to perceive meaningful shapes in random geological features. Professional paleontologists who examined the specimen found no evidence of actual footprint characteristics. Genuine trace fossils show specific features including sediment displacement patterns, compression ridges, and preservation conditions that reflect biological activity. The Antelope Springs specimen lacked all these indicators, showing instead the characteristic patterns of natural rock spalling. The case illustrates how confirmation bias and wishful thinking can transform ordinary geological specimens into extraordinary claims. When observers expect to find evidence supporting preconceived theories, they often interpret ambiguous natural features as confirming their beliefs, despite lack of supporting scientific evidence. The Antelope Springs trilobite remains a classic example of how proper scientific analysis can distinguish between genuine paleontological discoveries and natural phenomena that coincidentally resemble biological evidence, demonstrating the importance of rigorous methodology when evaluating claims that challenge established scientific understanding. 44. Ancient coal artifacts. Throughout the industrial coal mining regions of America and Europe, workers have reported discoveries that seem to defy the conventional understanding of geological time. Embedded within solid coal seem supposedly millions of years old. Miners have allegedly found iron pots, brass bells, gold chains, and other manufactured objects that appear to challenge fundamental assumptions about both coal formation and human technological development. These artifacts, if genuine, would suggest that advanced civilizations existed hundreds of millions of years before conventional history places the first human ancestors. The reported discoveries follow a consistent pattern. Miners breaking open coal seems to encounter what appear to be modern manufactured objects perfectly preserved within the solid fuel. A brass bell allegedly discovered in West Virginia coal dated to 300 million years old. An iron pot found in Oklahoma coal supposedly formed during the Carboniferous period, and various metal objects reported from coal mines across multiple continents all share similar claims of impossible antiquity. These accounts often include compelling details that seem to support their authenticity. Witnesses describe objects that show no signs of recent manufacture, with oxidation patterns and mineral incrustation that appear consistent with great age. The coal surrounding these artifacts allegedly shows no evidence of disturbance, fracturing, or recent insertion, suggesting that the objects were embedded during the original coal formation process millions of years ago. However, geological understanding of coal formation reveals fundamental problems with these claims that make their authenticity extremely unlikely. Coal develops through gradual compression of organic materials, primarily ancient plant matter, over millions of years under specific pressure and temperature conditions. This process creates dense, solid fuel through slow chemical transformation that would destroy rather than preserve manufactured metal objects. More critically, the presence of manufactured objects within coal seams can be explained through much more recent contamination and mixing processes. Coal mining operations frequently involve explosives, heavy machinery, and industrial equipment that can introduce modern objects into mine material. Objects lost or discarded during mining operations can become mixed with extracted coal, creating apparent associations between ancient geological materials and recent artifacts. The documentation for most coal artifact claims proves problematic when subjected to rigorous examination. Many reports lack proper scientific context, precise dating information, or verification by qualified geologists. Stories often circulate through popular publications without independent confirmation or professional analysis that could distinguish between genuine discoveries and mining-related contamination. Additionally, coal can form much more rapidly than commonly believed under specific environmental conditions. Some coal deposits have developed within decades or centuries rather than millions of years, particularly in areas with appropriate organic material accumulation and chemical conditions. Objects embedded in such rapidly formed coal could appear ancient while actually being relatively recent. The absence of coal artifacts in museum collections or peer-reviewed scientific literature highlights the lack of verified examples that survive professional scrutiny. Genuine artifacts of such extraordinary importance would certainly be preserved and studied by qualified institutions, yet no major museum displays coal artifacts with confirmed anomalous dating. The coal artifact phenomenon demonstrates how industrial activities can create apparent archaeological anomalies through contamination and mixing processes, while highlighting the importance of proper scientific documentation and analysis when evaluating claims about objects that seem to challenge established geological and historical timelines. 45. The Wolfsegg iron. In 1885, workers at a coal mine near Wolfsegg, Austria, reportedly made a discovery that would become one of the most cited examples of impossible archaeological evidence. While breaking apart a block of coal supposedly formed during the Tertiary period, approximately 20 million years ago, miners allegedly found a small, cube-shaped iron object with precise geometric edges and a deep groove running around its perimeter. The artifact appeared to be artificially manufactured, yet its discovery context suggested an age that predated human civilization by millions of years. The object, measuring roughly 67 millimeters on each side, exhibited characteristics that seemed to indicate deliberate manufacture rather than natural formation. Its faces were nearly perfectly flat, edges showed sharp geometric precision, and the circumferential groove appeared too regular to result from random geological processes. The iron composition and surface oxidation patterns convinced initial observers that the object possessed genuine antiquity consistent with the surrounding coal's supposed geological age. Early analysis by mining engineers and local scientists concluded that the cube couldn't be a recent intrusion into the coal seam, as the surrounding material showed no evidence of disturbance or fracturing that would indicate subsequent insertion. The coal appeared to have formed naturally around the object, suggesting that the mysterious cube had been embedded during the original fossilization process that created the fuel deposit. Reports of the discovery spread through European scientific publications and mystery literature, where the Wolfsegg iron became a cornerstone example for researchers challenging conventional chronologies of human technological development. If genuine, the artifact would represent evidence of advanced metallurgy and precision manufacturing capabilities existing 20 million years before the earliest human ancestors evolved. However, subsequent investigation revealed significant problems with the extraordinary claims surrounding this supposed archaeological anomaly. The coal mining industry of the 1880s employed extensive mechanical equipment, iron tools, and industrial processes that regularly introduced metal objects into extraction operations. Mining equipment frequently broke, leaving iron fragments, tool pieces, and machinery parts mixed with extracted coal. More critically, detailed examination of the object's characteristics suggested industrial rather than ancient origin. The precise cubic geometry, uniform iron composition, and machining quality were consistent with 19th-century industrial manufacturing rather than prehistoric metallurgy. The circumferential groove particularly resembled features found on industrial components like bearing races, gear blanks, or mining equipment parts. The absence of proper scientific documentation from the discovery severely undermines claims about the object's anomalous context. No qualified geologists were present during the extraction, no systematic excavation protocols were followed, and no independent verification confirmed the artifact's association with undisturbed geological strata. Such documentation would be essential for validating claims of extraordinary antiquity. Coal mining operations create ideal conditions for contaminating extracted material with modern industrial objects. Heavy machinery, explosives, metal tools, and processing equipment regularly deposit iron fragments, tool pieces, and equipment components that become mixed with coal during extraction and transportation processes. The Wolfsegg iron case exemplifies how industrial activities can create apparent archaeological anomalies through contamination processes, while demonstrating the critical importance of proper scientific documentation, qualified observation, and rigorous analysis when evaluating claims about artifacts that seem to challenge established geological and technological timelines. Mysterious global phenomena. 46. Nazca Lines. Etched into the arid plateau of southern Peru, where desert winds have preserved ancient secrets for over a millennium, lie drawings so vast and precise they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. The Nazca Lines stretch across 450 square kilometers of pampa, creating the world's largest art gallery, one invisible to ground-based observers yet stunning in its geometric perfection when viewed from aircraft soaring high above the desert floor. These enigmatic geoglyphs, created by the Nazca culture between 200 BCE and 700 CE, include over 800 straight lines, 300 geometric figures, and 70 animal and plant designs that demonstrate surveying precision seemingly impossible without aerial perspective. The largest figures span several hundred meters, while some straight lines extend unbroken for over 30 kilometers across rugged terrain, maintaining perfect linearity despite crossing valleys, hills, and natural obstacles. The creation process poses fascinating engineering questions that archaeologists continue investigating. Nazca artists removed the dark desert surface stones to reveal lighter sand beneath, creating designs through color contrast rather than excavation. This technique required no advanced tools yet achieved tolerances measured in meters across figures spanning kilometers. How did ancient surveyors maintain such precision without aerial guidance or sophisticated measuring instruments? Recent AI-assisted discoveries have revolutionized our understanding of the line's scope and purpose. Machine learning algorithms analyzing satellite imagery have identified over 300 previously unknown geoglyphs, nearly doubling the known collection within months. These discoveries reveal two distinct types: large linear geoglyphs used for community ceremonies and smaller relief-type figures depicting humans and animals for more intimate ritual purposes. The lines' astronomical relationships remain hotly debated among researchers. While some alignments correspond to solstices, equinoxes, and celestial events, comprehensive analysis suggests coincidental rather than systematic astronomical function. Of over 2,000 lines examined, only a small percentage align with significant celestial phenomena, insufficient evidence for interpreting the entire complex as an astronomical observatory. More compelling theories connect the lines to water worship and agricultural fertility rituals that sustained Nazca civilization in one of Earth's driest deserts. The straight lines may have served as sacred pathways for religious processions, while animal figures could represent shamanic journeys undertaken with hallucinogenic plants to communicate with water spirits and ensure seasonal rainfall. The preservation of these massive drawings depends on the Nazca Desert's unique climate conditions. Minimal rainfall, stable temperatures, and absence of strong winds have protected the lines for over 1,500 years, creating a natural museum where ancient artworks remain virtually unchanged since their creation. This preservation allows modern researchers to study prehistoric engineering techniques and cultural practices in unprecedented detail. The scale and coordination required for creating the Nazca lines suggests sophisticated social organization among ancient Peruvian communities. Large geoglyphs would have required hundreds of workers following systematic plans across extended time periods, indicating cultural institutions capable of organizing complex projects and maintaining artistic standards across generations. Today, UNESCO protection ensures the line's survival while researchers continue uncovering their secrets through non-invasive analysis techniques. Whether created as cosmic calendars, religious pathways, or territorial markers, the Nazca lines represent humanity's most ambitious attempt to transform landscape into meaning, creating art so monumental it required the invention of flight to be fully appreciated. 47. Göbekli Tepe Pillars. On a hilltop in southeastern Turkey, where the Fertile Crescent first witnessed humanity's transition from hunting to farming, archaeologists have uncovered evidence that shatters our fundamental assumptions about prehistoric civilization. Göbekli Tepe, dating to approximately 9,500 BCE, predates Stonehenge by 6,000 years and the Egyptian pyramids by 7,000 years, yet displays architectural sophistication and artistic achievement that challenges everything we thought we knew about hunter-gatherer capabilities. The site consists of massive stone circles dominated by T-shaped pillars that soar up to 6 meters high and weigh as much as 16 tons each. These megalithic monuments were quarried, carved, transported, and erected by communities that supposedly lived in small nomadic groups without permanent settlements, writing systems, or complex social hierarchies. How did scattered hunter-gatherer bands organize the workforce and resources necessary for such monumental construction? The pillars themselves represent masterpieces of prehistoric art, covered with intricate relief carvings depicting lions, foxes, wild boar, vultures, snakes, and scorpions rendered with remarkable anatomical accuracy and artistic sophistication. Some figures appear to move across the stone surfaces in dynamic compositions that suggest narrative storytelling, while others display symbolic meanings that died with their creators thousands of years ago. What makes Göbekli Tepe truly revolutionary is its implications for understanding the relationship between religion and civilization. Rather than monumental architecture following agricultural surplus and social stratification, the site suggests that organized religion may have actually triggered the Neolithic Revolution. The need to maintain these sacred sites could have motivated the development of agriculture, permanent settlements, and complex societies necessary to support pilgrimage centers. The construction logistics boggle the mind when considering Stone Age capabilities. Moving 16-ton pillars across Anatolian hills without wheeled vehicles, metal tools, or large domesticated animals required engineering solutions and organizational systems that archaeologists are still trying to understand. The precision of the stonework, achieved with flint tools and presumably wooden implements, matches quality that would challenge modern quarrying techniques. Perhaps most mysteriously, the entire complex was deliberately buried around 8000 BCE, covered with tons of earth that preserved it for millennia until German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt began excavations in 1994. Why would communities invest enormous effort in burying rather than maintaining these sacred monuments? The intentional burial suggests cultural transitions or religious transformations that we can no longer comprehend. Recent ground-penetrating radar reveals that only 5% of Göbekli Tepe has been excavated, with dozens of additional stone circles waiting underground. The site may contain hundreds of carved pillars and represent the world's first monumental religious complex, built by societies that traditional archaeology considered incapable of such achievements. The astronomical alignments embedded within the circles demonstrate sophisticated sky-watching capabilities that enabled prehistoric communities to track seasonal changes and celestial events essential for hunting and gathering activities. These observations may have evolved into the systematic astronomy that later supported agricultural societies. Göbekli Tepe forces us to reconsider the intellectual and organizational capabilities of our prehistoric ancestors, proving that human creativity, religious impulse, and engineering ingenuity emerged thousands of years earlier than conventional timelines suggest, and that the drive to create sacred spaces may be among humanity's most ancient and powerful motivations. 48. The Giant's Ring. In the rolling countryside near Belfast, where ancient Irish legends speak of giants who shaped the landscape with their bare hands, stands one of Britain's most impressive, yet overlooked Neolithic monuments. The Giant's Ring, constructed around 2700 BCE, encloses an area larger than 5 football fields within massive earthwork banks that rise 4 meters high and stretch 200 meters across, creating a sacred space so vast it challenges our understanding of prehistoric Irish society's organizational capabilities and ceremonial ambitions. This colossal henge monument required moving an estimated 50,000 tons of earth and stone to create its circular embankment and internal ditch system. The scale of construction suggests coordinated effort by hundreds of workers over multiple seasons, implying social organization and resource management systems far more sophisticated than traditionally assumed for Neolithic communities in Ireland. How did scattered farming settlements organize such massive undertakings without writing systems or centralized authority? At the monument's heart stands an equally mysterious feature: a perfectly preserved dolmen tomb whose massive capstone balances on upright supports like a stone table set for giants. This central burial chamber predates the surrounding earthworks by several centuries, suggesting that the henge was built specifically to incorporate and honor an already ancient sacred site, transforming individual burial monument into community ceremonial center. The Giant's Ring's astronomical alignments reveal sophisticated understanding of celestial movements that enabled prehistoric Irish communities to track seasonal changes essential for agricultural timing. The monument's entrance faces northeast toward the summer solstice sunrise, while internal features align with lunar standstills and other astronomical phenomena that suggest systematic sky-watching traditions spanning generations. Archaeological investigations have revealed evidence of extensive ritual activities that continued for over 1,000 years after the monument's construction. Cremated remains, pottery fragments, and ritual deposits indicate that the site served as a focal point for ceremonial gatherings that drew communities from across prehistoric Ulster, making it one of Ireland's earliest regional pilgrimage destinations. The earthworks construction demonstrates engineering sophistication that required detailed planning and precise execution. The circular embankment maintains perfect geometry across its 200-meter diameter, while the internal ditch system incorporates drainage features that have preserved the monument's structural integrity for nearly 5,000 years. Creating such precision with Neolithic tools implies mathematical knowledge and surveying techniques that historians are still trying to understand. Recent archaeological research has identified connections between the Giant's Ring and other Irish megalithic monuments, suggesting it was part of a coordinated sacred landscape that linked ceremonial sites across prehistoric Ulster. This network implies cultural unity and communication systems that enabled widespread cooperation among Neolithic communities separated by significant geographical barriers. The monument's name, derived from local folklore that attributed its construction to giants, reflects the awe that this massive earthwork has inspired throughout recorded history. Even after millennia of weathering and human interference, the Giant's Ring maintains an imposing presence that demonstrates how prehistoric Irish communities created sacred architecture designed to inspire wonder and reverence across countless generations. Today, the Giant's Ring continues serving its original function as a gathering place, hosting everything from archaeological conferences to recreational activities, while preserving the sacred character that motivated its construction nearly 5,000 years ago. 49. Newgrange Lightbox. In Ireland's sacred Boyne Valley, where ancient spirits seem to dance among stone monuments older than civilization itself, stands humanity's most precisely engineered celestial timepiece. Newgrange, constructed around 3,200 BCE, achieves astronomical precision that modern architects admire. For exactly 17 minutes during winter solstice sunrise, a golden beam of sunlight penetrates the monument's specially designed entrance, travels 19 meters down a narrow passage, and illuminates the innermost chamber with perfect accuracy, a cosmic clockwork that has operated flawlessly for over 5,000 years. This Neolithic masterpiece predates Stonehenge by 1,000 years and the Egyptian pyramids by 500 years, yet demonstrates understanding of solar mechanics, architectural engineering, and mathematical precision that challenges every assumption about Stone Age capabilities. The winter solstice alignment required calculating solar declination angles, predicting seasonal daylight variations, and creating structural elements positioned with tolerances measured in centimeters across a monument spanning 85 meters. The light box itself represents an engineering marvel that took centuries of astronomical observation to perfect. Positioned above the main entrance, this narrow aperture allows sunlight to enter the passage only during the few days surrounding winter solstice, when the sun reaches its lowest point in the sky. The precise angle and positioning required to achieve this effect suggests that Neolithic Irish astronomers possessed systematic knowledge of celestial mechanics that wouldn't be formally codified until Greek astronomy. Construction of the entire monument required moving over 200,000 tons of stone, including massive orthostats weighing up to 10 tons each, transported from quarries located dozens of kilometers away across challenging Irish terrain. The corbelled roof demonstrates advanced structural engineering knowledge, using progressively overlapping stones to create a waterproof dome that has remained intact for 5 millennia without mortar or metal reinforcement. The interior artwork adds another layer of mystery to Newgrange's sophisticated design. The passage and chamber walls display intricate spiral carvings, triple spirals, and geometric patterns whose meanings died with their creators. These Neolithic symbols may represent astronomical observations, spiritual beliefs, or territorial markers, but their sophistication suggests that prehistoric Irish culture possessed complex symbolic thinking and artistic traditions. Archaeological evidence reveals that Newgrange served as more than a solar observatory. It functioned as a tomb for cremated remains while simultaneously operating as a ceremonial center that drew communities from across prehistoric Ireland. The combination of burial site, astronomical instrument, and religious monument represents architectural multifunctionality that required sophisticated planning and cultural coordination. The discovery of the lightbox phenomenon in 1967 by archaeologist Michael O'Kelly created international sensation, proving that ancient architects had achieved precision targeting of solar events that modern builders would find challenging. O'Kelly's restoration work revealed the monument's original appearance while preserving the astronomical functionality that motivated its construction. The cultural implications of Newgrange extend far beyond architectural achievement. Creating a monument that precisely captures winter solstice required multi-generational commitment to astronomical observation, mathematical calculation, and engineering perfection. This suggests that Neolithic Irish society possessed institutions capable of preserving and transmitting complex technical knowledge across centuries of cultural continuity. Today, thousands of visitors worldwide witness Newgrange's winter solstice illumination through lottery-selected viewing, experiencing the same cosmic drama that captivated prehistoric communities 5,000 years ago and reminded them that even in darkness, light inevitably returns. 50. The Antikythera Shipwreck. 70 meters beneath the crystalline waters off the Greek island of Antikythera lies one of archaeology's richest underwater treasure troves, a Roman shipwreck that has revolutionized our understanding of ancient Mediterranean trade, technology, and cultural exchange. Discovered in 1900 by sponge divers who initially mistook bronze limbs for corpses, this 1st century BCE vessel has yielded an extraordinary cargo that reads like an inventory of the ancient world's finest artistic and technological achievements. The shipwreck's most famous artifact, the Antikythera mechanism, represents just one element of a cargo so sophisticated it suggests the ancient Mediterranean operated as a cosmopolitan network of cultural and technological exchange that rivals modern globalization. Alongside the world's first analog computer, divers have recovered bronze and marble statues of breathtaking artistic quality, luxury goods from across the Roman Empire, and everyday objects that reveal the complex logistics of ancient maritime commerce. The bronze statuary recovered from the wreck displays artistic mastery that challenges assumptions about ancient craftsmanship capabilities. The famous Antikythera youth exhibits muscular definition and anatomical precision that seems almost alive, while fragments of larger bronze compositions suggest sculptures of unprecedented scale and sophistication. These artworks represent the pinnacle of Hellenistic bronze casting, techniques that were subsequently lost and not recovered until the Renaissance. Recent underwater excavations using advanced diving technology have revealed that the ship's cargo included items spanning the entire ancient Mediterranean world. Greek bronzes, Roman glassware, fine ceramics from multiple regions, and luxury objects from as far away as Syria and Egypt indicate that this vessel was carrying a carefully curated collection of the ancient world's finest cultural products across hundreds of miles of dangerous waters. The ship itself presents engineering mysteries that complement its extraordinary cargo. Analysis of preserved hull sections reveals construction techniques using lead-line joints and precise wooden joinery that enabled vessels to carry enormous weights across Mediterranean storms. The cargo's distribution suggests sophisticated loading procedures designed to maintain stability while maximizing valuable space. Knowledge that required generations of maritime experience to perfect. What makes the wreck particularly intriguing is the mystery surrounding its origin and destination. The mixed cargo suggests either a collecting expedition gathering art treasures from multiple regions or a merchant vessel carrying luxury goods between major ancient ports. Some researchers propose the ship was transporting looted artwork from Greek cities to Roman collectors, while others suggest it carried diplomatic gifts or private collections being relocated for political or economic reasons. The preservation conditions 70 meters underwater have maintained organic materials that rarely survive in terrestrial archaeological sites. Wooden ship components, textile fragments, and other perishable materials provide unprecedented insights into ancient Mediterranean material culture and technological capabilities that land-based excavations cannot preserve. Ongoing archaeological investigation continues revealing new artifacts that expand our understanding of ancient technological sophistication. Each diving season brings discoveries that challenge conventional assumptions about ancient capabilities, from precision scientific instruments to artistic masterpieces that demonstrate cultural achievement rivaling any period in human history. The Antikythera shipwreck ultimately represents a time capsule from the ancient world's golden age, when Mediterranean civilizations achieved levels of artistic excellence, technological innovation, and cultural synthesis that wouldn't be equaled for over a millennium, reminding us that human achievement has always transcended the limitations that each age places upon itself. These 50 mysterious ancient artifacts represent humanity's most enduring puzzles, objects that challenge our understanding of the past, while inspiring wonder about the ingenuity of our ancestors. From the precisely engineered gears of the Antikythera mechanism to the undeciphered symbols of the Voynich manuscript, from the impossible precision of Pumapunku to the astronomical sophistication of Newgrange, these artifacts remind us that human achievement has always exceeded our expectations and that the story of our past contains chapters we are only beginning to read.